Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. It's Friday. Hope everybody is doing well and enjoying themselves. We got the latest breaking news for Manchester United. What appears to be a double blow in the midfield for Manchester United and their pursuit of certain targets. Updates coming from the all-credible Laurie Whitwell today. We got a bunch of other topics that we need to discuss as well. And also, we're going to get into, United versus Liverpool. We got the derby. We got the game coming up tomorrow. And me and a bunch of United supporters do believe that we are going to do the league double over them in terms of beating them twice in one season, not winning trophies, of course, because we're not doing that. But I do think we will beat them. I think we will get it done. I believe for the first time since somebody told me 2016, if I remember correctly. So we're going to get into that. I think we're going to smash them. We're in a good place. We're moving. Listen, the games, okay, we're not absolutely scintillating, but listen, we're getting positive results. We're getting wins. We're getting points. And, we're in a very good spot to a certain degree. So I do think we'll get over the line. But we do need to do the updates. There has been a lot of transfer news updates. A lot of them, some of them, not very positive for Manchester United. But there are some positives. So it's not all bad. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. As you guys usually do, please make sure you smash the like button. It's super important. It supports and helps the channel massively. So get that done. If you've already done so, thank you. If you're going to do it, thank you again. And if you're new and you enjoy the content, make sure you're subscribing and you hit the notification bell icon so you get notified when we go live and you don't miss a show. But listen, let's just get straight into it, okay? Let's just get straight into the updates, and then we'll get to the more fun bit. We'll talk about the United versus Liverpool. We'll talk about the squad updates, and we'll give our opinions. We'll give our predictions, score predictions, and all that good stuff, right? So, let me just pull up real quick where we're gonna start with the sort of transfer updates. So we did have this one story that I didn't cover yesterday, so I'll just bring it in real quick and real quickly. But apparently Frank Lampard is reportedly keen on reuniting with Mason Mount at Coventry City following their promotion to the Premier League. But apparently, however, Manchester United still value Mount at around 30 to 40 million pounds and remain control of his situation. The midfielder is also under a long-term contract running until 2028. I mean, that's not really that long term. We're in 2026. And halfway through next season, it'll be 2027. So it's not that long term. Meaning any potential move would require a significant offer to be considered. I don't think they have the money for Mason Mount. I mean, they might. 30 to 40 million. Listen, if Coventry want to offer 30 million pounds for Mason Mount, why not? Maybe so. Maybe so, But, yeah, I don't know. I think that's one of those stories that it's Lampard Mount. They just got promoted to the Premier League. Let's ride the hype a little bit of them coming in. I don't think anything is ever really going to materialize out of that. So, Natasha's here, says, hi, Eric. You having a bad day? Why are you having a bad day? It's Friday. It's Friday. Why are you having a bad day? What happened? You are on early tonight. I'm on at the time we usually go live. A little bit later, 10 minutes later. But, man, why are you having a bad day? I hope you have a better day or better night from here on out. Okay, let me see where we're getting on. Okay, so here's the sort of updates. I guess we'll just do the Laurie Whitwell thing. There is an update also, from Matteo Moretto. So Laurie Whitwell was saying he's given us updates on quite a number of midfield players, actually. He's given us an update on Tonali. He's given us an update on Elliot Anderson. He's given us an update surrounding Tchouaméni. He's given us an update about Marco Sensi. He's given us an update on Carlos Baleba. He's given us an update on Ederson from Atalanta and Baleba. And also Alex Scott, Joao Gomes, Mateus Fernandes. So, full sort of update coming from Laurie Whitwell today. So let's just hit this with the ground running. Okay. So the first thing that he spoke on, we do have a separate update surrounding Adam Wharton, which I will get to in after we do this. But Laurie Whitwell on Manchester United and Tonali, he said he is somebody that they're considering this. He is somebody they're considering. The sense has always been that the price would be too much because Newcastle bought him for a significant fee, and there's a sell-on clause in there that Newcastle United want big money for him and would want big wages. He's already earning big money anyway. He's certainly a player United will continue to track, but it depends on how certain decisions fall along the way. So I mean, listen, it's sort of a neutral sort of update. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's dead in the water, and it's not necessarily one that's saying that it's definitely going to happen. It's pretty neutral at the current moment, you know. Rajad is here, says hello, how you doing? Here ready about 28-29. Don't need Bruno G. Well, we're not getting Bruno G. Bruno G is done. Okay, Bruno G is not a realistic option. He was mentioned early, but he's not one. You know what I mean? He's not one that's actually an option. So there's Tonali, but he's given us an update on Elliot Anderson. Now this one, when you put it this way, I mean, some of the people that have been doubting that we would make this happen, and they've been saying that, you know, we won't offer as much money, or he'll be too expensive. You know, this one certainly leans into this camp, and I mean, if this is how it's gonna go, then I will tend to lean more into their side and agree with them, because I find it a bit hard to see that United are gonna pay this kind of money. But with Elliot Anderson, he's given us an update on if Manchester United are moving on from Elliot Anderson amid reports of Nottingham Forest wanting £125 million. And he said, yeah. He said that will not happen. And then he said Marinakis, who is the Greek owner of Nottingham Forest, he said he's the guy you have to convince. And in terms of the price tag, that's been communicated via him. There's been suggestions that's what he would like. City's interest is genuine, and there's people I speak with that feel that will happen. And now, I think, listen, if that information is to be, you know, the truth, accurate, which I don't have any reason to not believe it isn't, coming from the likes of Laurie Whitwell, I do think that the Elliot Anderson deal is pretty much dead in the water for us at this point in time, because I don't see United spending $125 million on one player. I think they would like to spend probably about 80, maybe 90. I think the max they would go is 100. I think 125 million might be a bit too much considering the budget we have and the amount of players that we need, and, you know, the amount that we need to spend. So this was always a bit of the problem, because obviously City can spend 125, they can spend 135, they can spend 150 if they so much like so, and it won't affect their summer. They will go and do all the business that they plan to do, and they'll be fine. Whereas us, it does after some point. I mean, listen, you're talking about if you could get Elliot Anderson for 80 million, there's a big difference between getting him for 80 million than getting him for 125 million. You know, that the rest of that, you're talking about what, an extra 45 million? That could be a whole nother midfielder for us. So, you know, at some point, I mean, if it goes that high, it does get a bit too rich for us. All right, if it stays around 80, 90 million, something like that, I think we can hang in there and compete, and it's something doable. But I think once, listen, if Nottingham Forest owner is saying 125 million and nothing less, and City go, yeah, we'll give you 125 million. I mean, we're out of the contention. We're not. I don't see us dropping 125 million pounds on one player. And to be fair, listen, he's a good player, but he's certainly unproven in terms of just trying to justify 125 million. Once you go to 125 million pounds, you're sort of entering. You're sort of entering the spot of. It's the risk is getting higher because he might be a good player for what he is right now, but is he ever going to really justify that? And also, if it doesn't work out, you tend to lose a lot more money on the back end if doesn't go well. Lyle's here and has given us a super chat. Thank you, Lyle. You are the best, man. Lyle is goated, bro. Says, hey, Eric and all you Reds, what's up, brother? I think Lyle gifted 10 memberships yesterday, and now he's come through with a super chat, with a blue super chat. Lyle's the goat, man. How you doing, bro? You good? You all right? It's Friday. Hope everything is going well with you, brother. I hope it's doing better than sort of these updates from the midfield for Manchester United. And this is sort of the life that we live with this. Okay. It can all feel kind of sort of positive to a certain degree. We're saying, oh, we're looking around, we got tons of options. Surely we get some sort of a top class midfielder or high potential, high rated sort of players, and then in one fell swoop, the air can kind of get sucked out of the room a little bit. So I mean, listen, Tonali may be an option, but and going off of his update about Tonali, you know what I mean? Like he also said that it's somebody United are considering, and they said the sense has always been that the price would be too high because Newcastle bought him for a significant fee. And Newcastle would want big money for him, and he would want big wages. He's already earning big money. United will continue to track, but it depends on how certain decisions go along. I think that I think a bigger issue here with Tonali is if Manchester City move and do this deal for Elliot Anderson, and they end up paying 125 million pounds, I think that sets the precedent for Sandro Tonali because he's more experienced. He's probably a better player. He would be considered at a higher level, more developed. And with Newcastle obviously being pain in the asses to deal with, okay, they don't make negotiations easy for anybody. And they do hold out, and they do get paid large sums of money. And they usually do get their way to a certain degree. And, if Elliot Anderson is too expensive for us in that, 125 million, if Elliot Anderson gets sold for that, and Newcastle go, well, listen, if they're selling Elliot Anderson for 125 million, we want more, obviously, because it's Tonali. And then, well, if we can't really afford Elliot Anderson, then we can't afford Sandro Tonali either, can we? So, it's like a domino effect. We lose Elliot Anderson, we lose Tonali, okay? We won't be able to get any of them. Lyle says, oh, good, my Andy. Hope you're good too, bro. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm chilling. So he goes on to give us an update about Tchouaméni, because obviously Tchouaméni has been linked with Manchester United, here and there, but in the past week or so, it's gotten a little bit bigger. And he said on this, giving us maybe a little bit of hope, a little bit of light. Laurie Whitwell saying, I think it would be really interesting signing if they can pull it off. The only thing that I've heard since is it could be a way for him to get a new contract at Real Madrid, which is not really great because we've been here before. You know, it's not. I don't think it's as detriment as these other two updates sort of pricing us out, because we know once it hits a certain height and fee, we're not getting these guys. Unless INEOS want to do something crazy, but I won't hold my breath for them to surprise us, like that, in that way. Now, with Tchouaméni, it's sort of a different angle. We've been here, done that, been there before. How many players do they link us with that ultimately, like, would we be interested in the player? Sure, but they're not actually really available. Their agent is using their name, our name, and other clubs' names to drum up interest so that they could get their, constituent, they could get their, their client a new deal. So, I mean, this could very well be one as well with Tchouaméni. And, I'm always a bit skeptical on this because as much as I love my club, and I say that my club is one of the biggest clubs in the world, I do believe that probably Real Madrid is the biggest club because of what they've achieved and what they continue to be able to maneuver. They haven't fallen off like us, you know what I mean? And they have a long storied history. They've won the most Champions Leagues and stuff like that. And listen, let's put it this way: if Real Madrid came knocking on our door for one of our players, 95% chance they're gonna take him from us. For most players, so I do find it a bit hard to believe that sort of Tchouaméni is like, yeah, you know what, I want to leave Madrid and I want to go to another club, because in my opinion, no matter who you go to, whether it's United or anybody else, it is a bit of a step down from Real Madrid. And I kind of feel like these players, when they're at Real Madrid, and we've seen it with people at Manchester United as well. We've seen it with players in the past with Manchester United. The Schweinsteigers, the Zlatans, you come to United, and it's like you don't really want to leave. And you also become like part of the club. If you weren't really heavily, affectionate to the club before you came, when you leave the club, you are. And we've seen a lot of players that they don't want to leave. They do everything, and they do everything and anything to sort of stay at our club to a certain degree, especially if they can't go higher, right? And that's sort of how I see the situations at like Real Madrid. I mean, I don't think you can really go any higher. And so I don't feel like there's loads of players there, very little players. Even if you're not starting, even if you're just like, part-time player, a bench player, squad player, they'd rather be a bench player at Real Madrid than go to some club and maybe start. It doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen very often. So, there's that update on Tchouaméni. Okay. He's also given us an update on Carlos Baleba, and he's also given us an update on Ederson from Atalanta. So Laurie Whitwell is saying Manchester United pursuit of Carlos Baleba last summer and this summer. He said he was open to joining Manchester United last summer, and it was just the case of price set, and United not feeling what Brighton was reasonable, and United couldn't afford it. That much we know for a fact. We definitely couldn't afford it. £100 million is what I think they were looking for. United wanted more of a £75 million fee, but given how Baleba's season has gone, United would probably slash that by a third, so around £50 million. He went on to say that's not known yet on Brighton's asking price. I'd be surprised if Brighton accepted $50 million. I would be surprised too, especially with the way this is going. I mean, if you take, they asked for £100 million. We said we believe he's valued at £75 million. He's not had a good season, and compared to last season, so it's gone down. And if we're saying, well, we'll pay around 50 million now, I mean, they're probably going to say that they want around 75 million. If they don't even just say, no, we still value him at 100 million, even if they choose, they might not even choose to step down from the 100 million. So, I mean, I think in this situation, some sort of agreement can be found in the middle ground in terms of the price, and a deal could be agreed. I don't think it's necessarily that big of a problem, but it's sort of almost like a similar situation. The only real difference is that we'll have money available to do it. Last season or last summer window, we ran out of money because we spent all the money. I mean, we got 2 number 10s, and then we needed to sort of sell players. We weren't able to really sell Rashford and get money for him. We weren't able to sell Onana and get money for him. And then, like the others, we kept a player or two for squad depth, such as like maybe Xerxes, who wasn't really one that was going to be used a lot, but we kept in here just in case. Like, we could have maybe sold him. There was also the time that, there was the potential that we could have sold Bruno. And we didn't do such a thing, but, so we ran out of money at the end of it. At the end of it, when we signed a striker for the amount of money that we signed the striker, we signed the 2 number 10s for the amount of money that we signed the 2 number 10s. We didn't have 100 million, and we didn't want to pay 100 million, but we didn't have 100 million anyway. So, oh yeah, by the way, Lyle, I think Richard said thank you because one of the gifted memberships that you gave out went to him, and he commented under the live yesterday. Not during the live, but after the live. And he said thank you to whoever gifted me a membership. And I said, I'm pretty sure that's Lyle, because he gifted 10 of them. So, realistically, it looks like Tchouaméni and Baleba are options then. Well, hold on. The Tchouaméni thing, I don't know. Tchouaméni has to become, it has to be an actual thing that's going to happen. Because he does mention here about Tchouaméni that Laurie Whitwell is saying the only thing that he's heard since about Tchouaméni is that it could be a way for him to get a new contract at Real Madrid. So we've sort of been there before. So until it comes out that that's not happening and he won't be getting a new contract and they actually are interested in looking to move him on, I'm going to be weary about that because we've been there before. But the one constant remains is Baleba. So, for right now. Now, there's a couple more updates. One has to do with Ederson from Atalanta, not Anderson, Ederson. And this one says on if Manchester, and what's up, Renoso? This one says on if Manchester United are looking at any midfielders outside of the Premier League besides Tchouaméni. And he said there is Ederson at Atalanta. He was one that was featured prominently last summer. Too much money being asked for from Atalanta. His contract situation is lesser now, so maybe he's back on the market. I'd be surprised after how things have gone with Ugarte coming in from the French league. The Italian league is different. It's a player in a serious part of the pitch that they need to get right. That would surprise me to go for a player that hasn't played in the Premier League. Maybe the data shows he's the guy. He's definitely one that's been discussed. And I think he makes a good point there. And I do believe, if we've talked about this a couple times, listen, I think Tchouaméni is a bit different because I think La Liga is a bit different. And also the guy is a French international. And listen, you could see how he plays. I'm not saying Ederson is a bad player, but the Italian league being the Italian league, and it's sort of, no disrespect to the Italian league, but I don't think it's a diss if it's the truth. It's a bit of a retirement home. Okay, you got players playing that are about 38, 39, 40 years old, playing at sort of the top clubs in Serie A, and they're starting week in, week out. You don't see that shit happening in the Premier League. You don't see that happening in La Liga. Even the Bundesliga to a certain degree. It's not happening at Bayern. It's not happening at Real Madrid or Barca. It's not really happening, at United, at City, at whatever. And if it does, it's a very rare instance. But, there's Bernardo Silva, but he ain't 38, for City. So it's a bit different. The league is a bit slower. And a player like Ederson, he could be good. He could be a good player. But the speed is also different. And you can have good qualities, but coming to the Premier League, are you gonna adapt well? Is that the correct move? I do believe that INEOS, the one thing that I do agree with them right now, and I'm on the same page with them 100%, is I think, listen, we're still trying to build this squad out with a foundation. I think the correct move, it might cost us a bit more money, but I think it's a bit more worth it to get Premier League players. To get players that we know have been competing well or good enough or ready to take the next step from the level they're in the Premier League. They've played all the opposition. They, week in, week out, they can handle themselves. They can handle the physicality. They can handle the speed. They're there. We've seen them. They've done it at Bournemouth. They've done it at Villa. They've done it at Newcastle. Whatever team it may be, they've done it. They do it week in, week out. And I think for us, I think that is the correct move. We need 3. And I've been saying, I think the best move would be to get 2 midfielders from the Premier League, and the third one can be your wild card. The third one can be somebody, Stiller, Ederson, whoever it is, can be your wild card. Listen, we got Rasmus from the Serie A. It didn't really go well. He's gone back to the Serie A. He's done well there. He struggled with us. We got Xerxes from the Serie A. It hasn't really been amazing. It looks like he might go back to the Serie A. If he goes back to the Serie A, he might do well there. We had Scott McTominay. He was good, and he was good and bad. He was hot and cold at times. He had his bad moments. He had his good moments. He's gone to Italy. He's done well there. It's a bit different. So, my bad. Tuchemani using United for improved contract. Yeah, listen, it's a possibility. We've been there before. I find it a bit, Lyle. I find it unless they come out and they say Tuchemani is leaving. We get one of those reports he's not getting a new contract, and it's because we've been there before. And again, just like with the likes of Real Madrid, I'm just honest, bro, you're at Real Madrid. You go anywhere else, it's kind of a bit of a step down. It's not a massive fall from grace. If you go to United or you go to Liverpool, you go to City, or you know what I mean? It's not a massive fall off. But I kind of see that Real Madrid is probably the top. They are the pinnacle. So if you leave that club, you are going at least 1 or 2 steps down. You know what I mean? And I just kind of think these players, somebody like Tuchemani at his age, these guys, they don't really want to leave Real Madrid. So much so that they don't even care to the point of listen, I'm at Real Madrid, I'm not starting. I come off the bench, but I'd rather just be at this club. So, I don't know. We kind of got to see how that one goes. The Edison thing, I don't know. I do agree with INEOS in that, listen, and I've been saying this for quite some time, and I think it's still sort of a bit of the blueprint, okay? And we didn't really do it for a bit of time. There are good players outside of the Premier League. There are good players, but I think it comes in a process. I think it comes in sort of a systematic way. And look, we barely have, at this moment in time, we barely have any United players, barely, with the England national team, which is, not really normal for us. We always had, a good amount of players. We made a good amount of the squad up. We don't have too many. We've gotten and bought many players from abroad that have flopped immensely. And we've paid, good money for them. And I think you just look at the fact that we signed Mbeumo, we signed Cunha, okay? And we signed Sesko. And I see it a bit similar. The situation to me is the same. We signed two guys that we know can handle the speed, the intensity, the physicality of the Premier League 100% because they were already doing it at teams that are, below us and considered lesser than us and not as good as us. And they were doing it sort of week in, week out. We knew that they can handle the opposition team, okay? And we got those two guys in. And then the third guy for the attack, we went and we got a young striker who doesn't play Premier League football, who is not necessarily accustomed to the league, who hasn't played week in, week out, but he is a bit younger, and, we believed in his abilities and we can develop him. I see the midfield situation as the same thing, and I think we should do the same thing. I think it was a good and smart move to get two players from the Premier League, and the third one, go get somebody that's a bit of a wild card. You don't have to get all three players from the Premier League. You can if you want, but I think if you get two and sort of a wild card, I think it's good enough. And I think it's a good mix. So I think for our midfield, we could probably get Baleba and one other guy from the Premier League. It doesn't look like it's going to be Elliot Anderson. And, maybe it could be Tonali, but he could be a bit too expensive for us, but I think we got to see about that one. And the Adam Wharton one, because I'm not 100% on this source, but it's not a great update, okay? This is Matteo Moretto. He, I don't know, is associated with Fabrizio Romano in some way, and he also works for Marca. And he gave us an update saying that Liverpool are in negotiations with Adam Wharton, who has obviously been linked to Manchester United. They want him, and there has been contacts between the parties. He prefers to stay in the Premier League. Well, that, I think, I don't, I didn't think he wasn't going to go anywhere but the Premier League. But if this is true, we have a bit of a problem on our hands because Wharton obviously isn't one that is considered sort of a priority, top priority on our list. So he is a bit further down the pecking order. Now, if Liverpool have made him sort of the priority of their list, well, not only is it a problem that, they're going to enter, so we're going to have to compete with them, but also they've shown the stronger interest. So right off the bat there, they probably, they're already winning the battle. Because it's like, if I'm Wharton, not for nothing, but if Liverpool off the bat are coming to me and like, listen, you're like top priority, we want you, and, we're going to do whatever we got to do to get you here. And then United sort of miss out on Elliot Anderson, and we can't get Tonali, and, we still feel a bit iffy about Baleba, and, Tuchemeni used us for a new contract, and he's gone. And then we come around to Wharton, and we're like, hey, would you like to join us? We're actually interested in you. And Wharton's sitting there, and he's like, fuck off, you're not, you're coming to me now because you're running out of options. Like, you weren't actually that interested in me. If you were that interested in me, you would have put in a bid for me and opened negotiations before you opened and tried to do negotiations with all those other players. The only reason why you've come around is because you got rejected or whatever by all these players. So it's not a great update. I mean, in one fell swoop, we could easily just lose everything. Wharton could go to Liverpool. Elliot Anderson's going to City. Tonali, we might not be able to afford him, or maybe he ends up going to Arsenal. Okay. Tchouaméni signs a new contract and doesn't come to us. All right, and we're just sitting here and we're like, yeah. So we got Baleba. Maybe if we could even agree a fee with Brighton. For the fee we want to pay. And then, what's left? What's really left is this update from Laurie Whitwell here, which is him telling us, okay, and saying, Laurie Whitwell on Alex Scott, Joao Gomez, and Mateus Fernandes are alternatives to bring midfield targets of Manchester United or a third midfielder. And Laurie Whitwell said they will have to sign 2 midfielders. These could be secondary to the main midfielder. Maybe they're actually equal purchases. They're all on the list and being watched. It'll be interesting to see which direction United go in and how quickly they're able to do it. So listen, I like Alex Scott. I think Alex Scott is a good player. Sadiq is here. And Grace is here. Grace says, hey fam, do you think Tonali and Mano make a good double pivot? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, personally, Grace, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think that, I think Sandro Tonali is probably the best option that we can get to replace Uncle Casemiro. I think he's the best sort of. If you're going to do somebody that's, you say, like a like-for-like replacement, and I said this yesterday, and I said you can never do 100% like-for-like replacement of Casemiro because he's classified, in my opinion, as a unique player. And when you have a unique player, you will never be able to 100% replace a unique player. You just won't. You can get another unique player, but they're unique in their own way. They won't be able to do, or they won't do everything, or they won't play the game the way that other unique player. They'll bring their own thing, and it'll be different. But I think Tonali would be, in terms of mitigating the giant gap, or giant hole, or void, that Casemiro is going to leave us with. I think Tonali would be a pretty good filling of that. I think in terms of if you're there and you rate Casemiro that much and you say, listen, we got to fill up this hole as good as possible. I think if you get somebody like Tonali, I think you sit there and you look at that and you go, listen, probably the best job you could fucking do. I mean, you can't probably do any better than that. We filled it up well. It's like not 100% filled. Maybe it's like 85% filled, but that shit's better than having it 50% filled. If it's a pothole, for example. Temerskin says, I liked Anderson and Tonali, Tchouaméni, Xavi Simons, Gibbs, White, Rafael Leao. United's back next summer. Please, Coach Ariola is better. Also make a forward signing loan, Cagnan and Lee. Well, we ain't getting all those players. I'm telling you that right now. Temerskin, we're getting 4 players. 5 maximum. And 5 if we're lucky. We're getting 4 maximum. We're getting 4 maximum players. And we don't really look like we're going to get Elliot Anderson. You want Tchouaméni? Would you take Sander Berge? I mean, he's not a bad player. I mean, but how old is he now? Is he still on the younger side? Because I wanted him like a few years ago. Is he still like because sometimes I lose track of these guys. He's 28 years. Yeah, I mean that's all right. 6 for 5. But I don't know. I'm not 100%. Can he? Can he go? Can he go like forward? You know what I mean? Can he do the things that Cass does in terms of like, is he able to pass the ball forward? Is he able to like, dribble the ball up? Because I don't think any player that we're getting like center mid, center defensive, center mid, DM, like they cannot be static to the DM position. They cannot be Manuel Ugarte. So any player that is like not really useful in being able to bring the ball up or link with the attack and do something in the opponent's half, like we should not sign them. I don't care who it is. I don't care what their name is. We shouldn't get them because that's not going to work for us. So yeah, I don't think we necessarily need that. I think we need two guys that one could be a little bit better defensively and the other one could be a little bit better offensively, but the one that's better offensively, they still need to be good defensively, and the one that's better defensively, they still need to be good offensively. And if they don't have those two qualities, I don't think our midfield works. What we're doing on the Carrick right now and the way we're playing, like both of those guys in the central midfield, they need to be able to play both sides of the game. They need to do both. If they do only one, I don't think it. I actually think it hurts us on the pitch. We become quite limited. Like we rely on those two guys in the midfield, and I would rather have both of them be able to do that job than one guy because it becomes quite easy. Like if you play Ugarte and Meno next to each other, what happens is all you got to do is take Kobe Mano out of the game in terms of like you can try and double mark him or whatever, or double press him and make it harder for him to have freedom. And you don't have to worry about Ugarte because he ain't going to do shit. So Ugarte can end up with the ball all day, but now we have nobody in the midfield being able to link the play. And we can't hold possession and we can't do anything. So let Mano do the 8. We need another anchor type midfield. Yeah, but what I'm saying is Mano can do the 8, but Mano is also doing well defensively. Like he is helping. He's tackling. He's getting back. So he's doing both sides of the game. He's doing both sides of the game, which is what we need. That's what we need. We need like complete midfielders. And Cass, I mean, he does the same. Like Cass is obviously considered more of a center defensive mid, but compare Casemiro to Ugarte. Casemiro, you can give him the ball. He can dribble up. He can make passes. He gets involved in the opponent's half. He scores goals with his heads. So Casemiro is a versatile defensive mid. Like, and if he was in his prime, and he had legs, he'd be destroying everybody because he'd be running up and down like crazy, doing everything. He'd be tracking back, tackling, picking up the ball, bringing it up, make a couple passes. Him and Bruno, and the rest of the team. So we do need that. Just have a 3 midfield, but we're not doing that, are we? If we had a 3 midfield, I think different story. I think I agree, Grace. And even if we had a 3 midfield, I keep saying, like, if we played a 3 midfield, I think maybe you could play Ugarte, CDM in the back with 2 guys in front of him. But we're not playing like that, and it's not going to happen. So, not if Michael Carrick's in charge. I mean, as far as we know right now, that's not how we're playing. We haven't seen that. Maybe he changes it if he's given the permanent job and he goes forward, but I highly doubt it because he doesn't really play like that. And also, we have Bruno Fernandes. So, and Bruno is obviously quite the most effective in the cam position. So, I don't see it really changing that way. I think we are where we are, and what we need is to go get 2 guys. We already have 1. In my opinion, Kobe is already doing the job. We need another 2 guys. Technically 3, but we need another 2 guys. That can do that. That can do that job. We need versatile central midfielders, complete midfielders. That can do both sides of the game. I think that's what we need. And then listen, you could get another sort of CDM, more of a CDM specialist in the third guy. But I think if we're gonna buy three midfielders, 2 of them. We need 1 starter next to Kobe, similar to Cass, that can do things like that. We need another guy that's gonna be the backup, and then the other guy can basically replace Ugarte. But be better than him going forward, because Ugarte can't link play at all. But hey, listen, I like Alex Scott. I like Joao Gomez. I like Matheus Fernandes. I think these guys could do a job like that in the midfield. So we got to see, really, like, what happens going forward. With these guys, because no, it's just I don't know if we're gonna. I don't know what the exact plan is, obviously. In terms of, Laurie Whitwell telling us, like, these are alternatives to the big midfield targets of Manchester United or a third midfielder. We're definitely signing 2 midfielders. But we'll see. I like Alex Scott. I think he's a good player. I would probably bring him, but he's not going to be one of the 2 main signings. He would, if anything, I'd bring him in as a third. I like Matheus Fernandes as well as a third. So, he was asked if United are in for a new center back as a priority this summer. And he said it's not a priority. Midfield is further up the pitch as well. It's something that might come under the reckoning depending on how the pieces fall. Which I believe 100%. I mean, it was never going to be a priority. There's a bit of a concern back there because of maybe the injuries, but I think just sort of how we did for the midfield, I mean, at least we have sort of the bodies per se for the center back position. I mean, we have 5 if they're fit and healthy. We have actually 5 if they can stay fit. So I think the same thing is going to happen, sort of like what we just went through a little bit with the midfield in terms of, that we did with the attack. We're going to do the midfield and maybe like one other sort of random position in terms of like, a left wing or a left back, sort of like how the goalkeeper was, wasn't really part of the attack. We're going to do the midfield and then the center back position. And maybe one of the other, right back or whatever, one of the other defensive positions is going to have to get it ignored because we can't do it all. And that's going to be something that maybe is dealt with, 1 year from now. Next summer window, after this window, going forward, which is I think the most likely thing that's going to happen. He was then asked about Mickey van de Ven, of course, and he said, Mickey van de Ven was proposed to me as somebody Manchester United are considering. Spurs staying up or going down might be a big factor. Probably definitely is. The transfer fee could be a lot less if Spurs are in the championship. It definitely could. And he said, I don't know if they'll actually accelerate that. It depends on how De Ligt and Martinez come back. De Ligt has been out for so long and it hadn't been anticipated, but it's given them something to think about, which is what I was just saying. He said Martinez is out with a ban. He's had a few injuries, so they might think they need consistency in that area of the pitch. I do believe, and I've been saying for quite a bit of time, like, we do need consistency in that pitch. I think the De Ligt thing is a very big issue. I'm a little bit less concerned with Martinez, but there is a slight concern there. because you just, I mean, we just don't know. They should know because they have the medical department with the machines and all this shit. So they should have an indication, probability wise, statistically wise, what is the probability that Martinez gets injured again? And if he gets injured again, what is the probability of, how long it's going to be? They should have some sort of a general idea of this. De Ligt is the big one because De Ligt has had numerous different injuries throughout his career at his age. He's a bit like Harry Kane in that circumstance, and he's just had an injury where he was supposed to be out for 2 weeks and he's going to be out for like 5-6 months. So there is a bit of a concern there. There is something to think about. I don't think it was ever going to be a priority, but it is something that they have to consider because you could end up in a situation where we don't have enough depth in that area next season and we end up in sort of a crisis. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but Simon says, greetings to you. I'm happy that Mano has signed. That's a big boost. Yep, I mean, it's a good thing that we've gotten it out of the way. It's done. I believe Laurie Whitwell was saying that Manu's wages are I don't know where I saw it. It was here somewhere, but Manu's wages were or is I don't know where it is. Or maybe it was on this page. Apparently, Kobe Manu was being chased by and Manchester City when he was 6. Alright, cool. But that wasn't the update I was looking for. The update I was looking for was the mention of his wages. Where did I see that? Right here. Laurie Whitwell said on Kobe's wages with his new contract. He said it's mid 100K. It's like 130, 140,000 pounds with incentivized add-ons, which is fine. I think that's totally fine. I think that's listen, he did what he did when he came into the team. He played a pivotal role in that one season. It went a little bit sideways for him under Ruben Amorim. He's come back in. He's come sort of refreshed and good again. He's doing a good job again. And I think the fact that he was on like 20,000 pounds a week and he was doing more than some players who were on 6 times the amount of money on him. I think for him, 130,000, 140,000 with incentivized add-ons is probably perfect. In my opinion, I think it's fair. And I don't have a problem with it at all. Shaw must be jealous of all these injuries as he hasn't had one yet. Well, thank God he hasn't had one yet because we kind of actually need him and we don't need him to get injured. So, let's see the best out of Kobe next season and see if he is worth his contract. Well, I think he's already worth that. I think we've given him. I think in today's time, 130,000, 140,000 for what he's given us on the pitch. I think he's already worth that. So, I think he's getting what he's sort of earned. I don't think he should get any more because there's room for improvement and he can reach a higher level and he can give us even more. But obviously, he's got to like earn that on the pitch. So I think where he is right now, I think he's being given what he's actually earned, what he's worth. I think it's a fair price. And then I like the whole incentivized add-ons. We should give him something like this, plus incentivized add-ons, so that he's got something to grow into. We didn't give him 200,000 pounds a week. We gave him 130. He's got more goals to hit. He's got more levels to hit. So if he hits those levels, he'll get paid accordingly, which is always the proper process. For 20,000 pounds a week, that would keep Sancho in drinks with his friends. But we did also have this other update surrounding Bruno Fernandes. Okay. And when I find it, I will tell you. Couple interesting things coming out today. Some gossip stuff, really. Where is the Bruno update? Because we did get an update. This is coming from Hurst class, Paul Hurst. Okay, and he said that the INEOS hierarchy believe Manchester United are on track to win the Premier League title in 2027 and 28, and some think that a crack at the title next year is not beyond the team. This is dependent on good recruitment this summer and Bruno Fernandes staying. Okay, I mean, listen, I don't know. That worries me a little bit because I think I don't like that per se, because that to me tastes a little bit like INEOS are they're overvaluing or overestimating the squad ability. And if they're overestimating and they think that the team is better than it actually is, then that means that they won't have the same level of urgency that we feel like we need to build to actually get the team to a spot where they actually will be on track to win the Premier League and that they can actually have a crack at the title. Because if they think the team is closer than it actually is, then that's going to transfer into, well, we don't have to spend this much money, or we don't need this certain level of player because we're already this good enough. We just need to hit this level and we'll be all right. Whereas if you look at it and you say, well, if we're on track to do it, if we want to do it in 27, 28, we're not at this level, we're at this level. We need to get better players so we can accelerate it to go here. So I don't really like that update, because I think, and I buy this update because we've had a prime example. They did it in January. They did it before they sacked Ruben, and they did it after they sacked Ruben. And I think it was a massive gamble, and I think they've hit the lottery with Michael Carrick. And I think they've hit a bit of a lottery in the fact that we're playing one match a week. And I think when you go back to normal circumstances, I think it's very different. And I think if we were in all our competitions and they did what they did in January, in Sir Jim believing that the squad is good enough to get Champions League football and not going to buy anybody in January, and if they did that in the normal circumstances of if we were in Europe and we were only in the cup competitions, I don't think we would be third. Because I think we would have got to a point where the players are fatigued, we don't have enough depth, we'd probably have more injuries than we already did, we'd be playing matches with, half a squad, and we'd probably be getting cooked. And I don't think we would be where we are. Now, they said that before anything happened. Also, they bring in Carrick, and Carrick was never part of their plan. Okay, he became part of the plan after, but he wasn't part of the plan. And when you bring in Michael Carrick, there was nobody on this planet that Carrick was going to come in and win 9 out of 12 games. We hoped he did well. We kind of felt like we could do better than what we were doing, but this is better than that. And they've hit a stroke of luck. And the problem is with hitting a stroke of luck is that luck does run out at some point. And so if they're overestimating the squad, they're not going to go as hard as maybe we would like for them to do in the summer, because they think that we're already at a certain level, and we're like, no, we need to push harder because we're not at that level and we'd like to go up that level. And you could I don't know, I get this feeling like you could only get away with it for so long. You could only get a bit lucky in that shit works out for you in the way that it's sort of been working out for them recently. until you hit something and it's the cracks actually open up and then you get fucked. You get punched in the face. You know what I mean? You get slapped with it. So Leeds are up 2-0 tonight against Burnley. Oh, there's a match going on. Natasha says, hi, Eric. I feel a bit better. Had some pamper time. What have I missed? Well, just a lot of updates about the transfers. But good that you're feeling better. Hasib's here says, what's happening, bro? What's up, bro? No, we're just going over the updates. We're just going over the updates for, a lot of transfer stuff coming out. Right now I'm talking about, we got an update here from Paul Hurst that basically said that the INEOS hierarchy believe that United are on track to win the title in 2027-28, and some think that a crack at the title next year is not beyond the team. They're going to say this is dependent on good recruitment this summer and Bruno Fernandes staying. And listen, I do agree to like on the flip side, that last sort of statement, I do agree. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is a big player, and I've been saying this ever since Casemiro announced he was leaving. There is under no circumstances we should be selling Bruno Fernandes. We cannot let Bruno Fernandes leave our team. It's the same situation as Newcastle, okay? Potentially losing Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali. You can't let it happen. One can go. You can't let both happen. It's detrimental to your team. You will be absolutely fucked if that happens. It's too big. It's too big of a change happening all at once. Okay? We're losing somebody like Cass. All right? And Bruno Fernandes is our captain, and he's quite clearly, obviously, the ticker for our team. Okay? You see what he's doing with the assists. You see how impactful and influential he is. We cannot afford to lose in one go. We cannot lose somebody like Casemiro and then lose somebody like Bruno Fernandes. If that happens, we are cooked for at least next season and probably the season after, because we're going to have to rearrange. We're going to have to get new things in. We're going to have to start developing that. It just won't work. So Bruno definitely has to stay. 1 year ago, I was saying, listen, if somebody offers us $100 million for Bruno, you could take it. And I advocated to take it because it was a different circumstance. We needed money, and for the thing under Ruben, if you're going to transform the team, which was a large project, and we didn't have enough money to do such a large transformation in the amount of time that would have been needed to do it, which was quickly, because nobody was going to give him 3 to 4 years to do it, and the results he didn't help himself with the results. So I advocated for that because I said if you sell him for $100 million, you can use that to buy 2 or 3 players in different positions. It's a money game. It works that way. But now is a different circumstance, and if somebody offers us $100 million for Bruno, we have to turn it down. We have to turn it down because we cannot afford to lose him and Casemiro in the same season. It would be absolutely. It would destroy us. It would destroy us. And Anderson apparently is valued at 125 million pounds. So yeah. When you look towards the mic, those dark eyes look so meaningful. I don't like my dark eyes. I wish I had like blue eyes or something. My eyes are brown, but they're like a dark brown, and they kind of just blend in with my pupils, and I don't really like them. They look too bland. Nice to see these. I want to see Bruno break the record for assists before the last game. I think he'll do it. He only needs 2 more assists, right? I think he's gonna get 1 or 2 against Liverpool. We'll talk about the Liverpool match, the derby, in a couple minutes. We're just gonna finish up the updates, and then we'll talk about the match at hand. Massive match. But I think Bruno will do it. He only needs 2 assists. And I think he could do it against Liverpool because I think number one, we're gonna need to score more than 1 goal versus Liverpool, and I would like to beat the shit out of him. I would like to hit him for 3 or 4. So Leeds are now up 3 now. We need just 3 points on Sunday and hope that Villa lose, then Champions League is sealed. 120 million now for Anderson. We have more chance of signing Elliot Anderson. Well, I said before, I said 125 million pounds. If that's the case, we're not signing him. So it's at some point it does become a bit too expensive. Okay? I was always saying, listen, if he's there for 80, 90, even 100 million, I think anything over 100 million, we actually literally can't sign him. Because you could sign a player like Elliot Anderson for 80 million. But when you compare 80 million to 125 million, that's an extra 45 million. And in our situation, an extra 45 million is literally basically a whole nother midfielder. So United could go and sign Elliot Anderson for 125 million if they want to compete with Manchester City and go toe to toe. But if we sign him for 125 million, we're probably going to end up with 1 less player, which doesn't make sense at that point. So it's not something that we could realistically do. You know, my whole argument was always like, listen, if he's going to be sold for 80, 90 million, like, you can compete with that. There should be no reason why you sort of say that that's too expensive, because that's sort of in the range. But 125 million starts getting a bit out of hand, because it's not only 125 million for the fee, but then also the wages. So that's when it starts getting out of hand for us, because we don't have as much flexibility as City. City can sign him for 150 million, give him 300,000 a week, and it's not going to affect their transfer window. They're still going to go and sign all the players that they would like to sign and want to sign. We do that deal. Well, we're now sacrificing something somewhere, and we can't. We're not in a position to sacrifice, because we're in a position of we need depth, we need quality, we need to fill a bunch of holes. You know, City are in they already have basically 2 squads. They're in an abundance. They don't really have to fill holes. They kind of just have to swap if they so much so want to. You know, so we're not in the same circumstance. So it's not like it's not gonna happen. I mean, if Nottingham Forest owner is set on 125 million, we won't get him for 125 million. That's just it's not possible for us to do. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Bruno does not have to stay. I think he does have to stay. I think it's I think it's too big of a change. I think it would disrupt our team monumentally, and we would suffer immensely for it. I think if you lose Casemiro and you lose Bruno Fernandes in one summer, I think we're screwed. I think we're screwed. You cannot lose your captain and arguably your best player, plus your super experienced and very good player, in one summer, and then try and replace them, and then think you're going to get the same output, a similar output, or a better output from new signings. We're replacing those guys. Bruno's been here for years. Cass has been here for a couple years, but he's experienced and he came from Real Madrid. Anybody that's coming in to replace these guys is not going to be. They're not going to be accustomed to United. They're going to be young, so they're going to be less experienced, and they're not going to have the same output. And you lose these two guys in one summer. Our season is we're done. We're done because it's not going to gel in the time that we need it to gel, because we would need both players, the replacement for Bruno, and then the replacements in the midfield. We would need them to come in and hit the ground running from the first match, which is never going to happen. Never going to happen. And it's the same reason as to why Newcastle won't allow Bruno G and Tonali to leave. Because they know. They're not fools. It's quite clearly obvious. If you lose Tonali and Bruno G in one season, good luck trying to replace both those players. Your squad is going to suffer immensely. And they're not really in a position where they can try to take a risk of trying to get by without them. Which is why they're saying, yeah, only one of you can leave this summer. The other one has to stay. And they've quite clearly kept Bruno G because he's the captain. And he's the more experienced. And they'll get rid of Tonali because they could sell him for a higher price, get more money, and replace him. So it's a similar thing with us. The only thing is Cass is leaving for free because his contract is up. We're not getting any money. But Bruno is our captain, and he's our main guy. So we're already losing. We already have a big hole from Casemiro. You don't want to make the hole bigger, because we're not going to fill it. We're not going to fill it. I would like to sign Chouamini or Tonali. No energy drinks today. I got this though. I should these companies should start sponsoring me. I got Neurogum. It's good. It gives you like focus, energy. I like it. It's a nootropic. I actually need another piece. I don't know. Maybe it's placebo, but I don't think so. I think it does give you some sort of mental clarity. So, City will get Tonali and Anderson. Well, I don't know if they get Tonali, but they get Anderson. Bruno is one of the main reasons we're in the top three. We need Premier League experienced players. I agree. Anderson will want to win Europa League before leaving. You want some? I'll give you some. But yeah, so that's on that. I'm just reading what else we got to take care of before we get talking about the Liverpool match. And I'm pretty sure Salah is not available to face us and stuff like that. So we're going to get to all those updates. I think Michael Carrick did a little bit of a presser and has given us some updates, some team news on some of the players. So lower this to my face here. We did get this from Rob Dawson saying Manchester United are determined to explore all of their options before appointing their next permanent head coach, despite caretaker boss Michael Carrick leading the race to get the job full-time. Sources have told Carrick, they said that Carrick has made himself favorite after winning 9 out of 13 of his games in charge since his appointment as caretaker in January. But despite overseeing form, which has taken United to the brink of Champions League qualification, club bosses are committed to running a full process before making a final decision. Sources have told the ESPN that a number of possible candidates have contacted informally to sound out their plans for the future. Which again, I think it's all like a standard. I think it's all standard I don't have a problem with them doing it. I think they should do it. Okay? I think they should do it. I think it's whether it's sort of a formality or not. I still think you have to go through the proper process. Especially because they said this is what they were going to do, so they should follow through on their word and they should follow through on their plan. Whether Carrick went from, maybe he was like third or fourth to now he's first. You still have to go through the full process. So they should interview everybody. They should take a look at everything. They should analyze everything and then pick the best choice that they come out with after they do the whole process of that. So I don't have a problem with that. I think that's what will happen. Anyway. And that's why, some people, they're getting carried away because they're like, oh, we haven't talked to anybody. And it's like, well, they did say that they were going to wait for the season to end. And they did say that they would make the decision after the season has ended. So the season hasn't ended yet. We're still playing for things. Or we're still playing matches and we still have to fight. I would like for us to finish third. Champions League is good and all, but we'll get that. And I would like for us to finish third. Like, we still have a job to do, and I would like for us to finish third. I don't want to be fifth and get Champions League. We are in third. We have been in third for a while. We should finish third. We should finish as strongly as possible. I would like to see the team accomplish that. And then you can sort out the manager right after the last day of the season. Take a couple weeks, 2 weeks. I don't know how long it takes, and then, keep going. It's too far. I'll ship it to you. They're gonna charge you a tariff. Well, actually, the tariff is the opposite way, so I don't know if they charge you. If I ship it to you from here, I don't know if they charge you a tariff. Over there. If you shipped it to me, they charge you a tariff. I know, because I ordered something last time from the UK, and I had to pay it. I had to pay the tariff. Because the business charged me the difference. You know what I mean? The business charged me the tariff because the business doesn't want to pay the tariff. So, Carrick till Christmas, then Southgate. No, we're never getting Southgate. Let's end the 10-year wait and get the double over Liverpool. We're going to talk about that in a second. I'm ready for it. I think we will do it. I am, I'm highly convinced. I'm not worried. Usually I get a bit nervy about these games because I kind of feel like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. And, they've been performing better than us and, this and that. But this time, we've been better than them. We're in a better spot than them. And we already beat them away for the first time. We've done a lot of things for the first time in numerous years. Winning at the Bridge, beating Arsenal at the Emirates, beating Liverpool at Anfield. We've done a lot of things. So it's not like we did it one-time fluke against one team. We've done multiple number of top things this season, sort of breaking or renewing records in that sense. And Arne Slot has confirmed that Mo Salah will not be fit to face Manchester United this weekend, which is good because I don't know what's going on with them there. I mean, I think clearly him and, Slot and Salah, they clearly don't have a great relationship, and it's been really weird because he's obviously been one of their best players, Mohamed Salah, for quite a long time now. And obviously, he's going to leave and he's gotten older. But, when I seen a couple games, Salah's not starting, not playing. When he comes in, he does well. And he loves to fucking score against us. So the fact that he's not available and, we don't have to deal with him. ever again because he's not fit. He's not going to play us, and he's leaving. So goodbye, Salah. We won't miss you, and we're glad you're on the bench. Not even on the bench. We're glad you're not in the squad. And fuck off. So that's good. For a starter, Isaac could replace Salah maybe, but he's got his own issues right now. And Michael Carrick on facing Liverpool, he said it's definitely one of my favorite games, a real standout. There are big rivalries, and this is right up there. Emotion plays a huge part in it. I think this is, to me, growing up, the back and forths between us and them, to me, still personally, there's no bigger match, and there's no bigger rivalry. To me, when United play Liverpool, it's the biggest match in the world. I think it's the biggest rivalry in the world. I don't think anything really matches that. I mean, I guess if you're a La Liga fan, you'll say Barca and Real Madrid, but I'm not a La Liga fan, so there's the El Clasico. But for me, I think when United play Liverpool, it's always the biggest event. And it's talked about, and watched by everywhere, all over the world. So it's always a high stake game. It's always an entertaining match as well. It never disappoints. It's not like these, there's other derbies you watch that they don't live up to the hype. Sometimes you watch Arsenal versus like Spurs or some shit, or Arsenal versus Chelsea. Like, it's a London derby, but it doesn't hit like ours. It doesn't hit like United versus Liverpool. There's always United versus Liverpool is always like some. It's just high intensity, crazy shit going on. So we can and have beaten the big sides, exactly. But Liverpool could spring a surprise on Sunday. Well, the thing is, I mean, listen, from the Liverpool perspective, I mean, if I was them, I would be looking for a bit of revenge. You came to Anfield, you beat us, you kind of started, I think that gave them a big blow as well, like to their confidence and shit like that. When we did that. And it was the first time we did it for a really long time, okay? So, that's not a good thing to really walk away from and feel good about after you let your biggest rivals come to your, stadium and beat you for the first time in, like, I don't know what it's been, like 15 years, 10 years, whatever it was, really long time. So, if I'm them, like, listen, we got kicked out of the Champions League, okay? They're not winning any of the other cups, I believe. I don't know what competitions they're still in. I don't know if they're in any. And we're right now we're below United in the table. And this match is a 6-pointer in that case. If you want bragging rights for who finishes over who, well, it is a 6-pointer. I think both teams are in a position to get Champions League. But it is a 6-pointer, so, they're going to come to Old Trafford looking for revenge. Be like, well, one, we're not going to let you do the double over us. We're also going to pay you back for beating us at Anfield by beating you at Old Trafford. And also, you're one spot above us. So we want to come and get 3 points, which is essentially 6 points. And put us closer to jumping you. So, it's not like I don't expect them to come there and roll over. But we are in a good place. Like Simon said, we have beaten the big teams and we've done well. And I think, listen, it's just one more job. We've been in a good place. We've been getting results. We've been getting points. We've been sloppy at times, and maybe we've been a little bit lucky in some matches, but, it's been rolling our way. So, and I think with Michael Carrick in charge, The way we handled City when he was in charge, the way we handled Arsenal, the way we handled Chelsea at the bridge. Okay, I think Michael Carrick has been able to do a very, very good job in sort of getting the players to understand the magnitudes of these matches and, preparing them correctly, and getting them in sort of the right mentality, the right mind state, and having them fully prepped for these matches. Like, you go to the Arsenal, to the Emirates, first game in charge, didn't have a lot of time. But we went out there with this, like, mentality. Like, we weren't afraid. We went out there, we played, we fucking, we did something that a lot of people told we weren't going to be able to do. And we did it. And then we did it against City. And then we did it against Chelsea at the bridge. And we don't have the greatest record against Chelsea at the bridge. But we did it. So now we're at home. Like Carrick is saying here, it's one of his favorite games. It's a real standout. He said there's big rivalries, and this is right up there. And emotion plays a huge part in it. He knows better than anybody. He was part of it. He played countless of these matches versus Liverpool. He knows what it's all about. So I think he'll be able to have the players prepped and ready to go. And I think we're going to beat them. I think we're going to beat them. And I think we're going to see the players really turn up an extra level or two that we have been sort of lacking just a little bit. Steph is here. Hi, Steph. How are you? Happy Friday, Steph. Hope you're doing well. Big up, Eric. Hope you're well, buddy. I'm good, Steph. I'm good. I hope you're good as well. I always thought that United and Arsenal were the biggest rivals. See, I don't know. Everybody has a different opinion. I guess maybe it's when you were born. And what era you grew up in. Because for me, I got people that are a little bit older than me. They're in their 40s or maybe their 50s, and they tend to hate Arsenal the most, and they tend to think that the United Arsenal thing is the biggest rivalry. But that's not the case for me, because when I was growing up, it was us versus Liverpool, and Liverpool was always the pain in the ass. Then obviously we have, the history dynamic, okay, with the amount of trophies and all this shit. And then obviously you have, Manchester versus Liverpool, the location itself. The history between that. But for me, growing up, it was always, Liverpool were the biggest pain in the ass. They were always the ones that were basically sort of threatening us. And we were obviously, up their ass trying to catch them on Premier League titles, which we then did and then surpassed them. And then they've leveled it up now. Arsenal to me, by the time I was, 8 or 9 and I could fully grasp football a little bit more, Arsenal was like our little brother. Arsenal was a team that I never took seriously because I was like, they don't do shit. They have Arsene Wenger, these guys, they finish in the top 4. They don't really do anything. We pull up against them. We fucking destroy them. They were never threatening to me. By the time I was like, 8, 9, 10 years old, Arsenal were absolutely nothing. Arsenal were like this little brother that, they're like the little brother in the TV show where, like, they tried to punch you and you just put your hand on top of their head and they're just swinging at air and they can't even touch you. Like that's what Arsenal always was to me. Arsenal is still like that. Like, but some of my friends, because they lived through that Vieira, Wenger going back and forth those couple years, and they took a title or two away from us. They lived through that era. Arsenal they hate them the most. They can't, you know what I mean? But that's not for me. It's not the same. Pure hatred in the stands atmosphere is unreal. Well, that, yeah. Time to really put the 7-0 drubbing behind as well. Listen, I mean, that was just a fucking never happen again, Liverpool are out of all trophies. Well, that's always good. Glazers have enabled Scousers to catch us up in the league titles. Yes, they have, unfortunately. And they've also put us in a position, Steph, where not only have they allowed us to catch up in league titles, but they've also put us in a position where we can't do anything to stop them. Because we weren't even in a position where it's like, see, the thing is, when we were winning all the trophies under Sir Alex, like they were still giving it their very best to try and stop us. And there was many times where it was very close, and we only won the league by a couple points. Last day of the it went down to the wire, and they were really neck and neck with us in a lot of the league titles. We haven't been able to do that to them because our owners let us fall off so fucking hard and made us so shit that we're not able to at least give them a go for their money and at least try and stop them, because we couldn't compete. You know what I mean? So we have to score first. Well, that's always, I mean, listen, if we're gonna concede, if we're gonna concede, the earlier we concede, the better. If we're gonna concede first, the earlier the better. You know what I mean? Because if the match, for whatever reason, stays 0-0 for a while, let's say, we're in like the second half, it's like 68th minute, and it's 0-0, and they score, that's not good. You know what I mean? If they score on us in the first 5 minutes, not ideal. You don't really want that. But I'd rather have them score really early, because it's like you can sort of shake that off. You have a full match, and you can, all it does is take one goal, and it's back to level playing field, and it's sort of a reset. So Nagelsmann will be the next Liverpool manager. He could be. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but we'll see. City were clobbered by us. Manchester's red. Well, yeah, Manchester's always red. I mean, how can you take a team that scored their first Champions League goal in what was it, 2012, 2014? They scored their first Champions League goal ever in the history of their club. How can you ever take them serious? Axe is here. Simon says, let's have a guard in the bench at the nearest train station. We think we'll be Liverpool, absolutely. Steph says, good to see Dorgu back in the squad, yes. He probably won't start, he won't. But he gives us much energy and attacking threat, and even just an option, and just some depth, So, it is good. I was born in 1975, and it was always, United rivals were Liverpool. Yeah, I don't know, it's different for everybody, I don't know. I mean, doing this thing here, and, meeting all the people that I know in real life throughout the years that are also United fans, it kind of surprised me a little bit, because growing up, I didn't have friends that were into football. They were in, because they're totally American. They're into basketball or NFL or baseball. So I kind of grew up sort of in a bit of a bubble with that. I didn't have friends or mates. Like, it's not like I went to school with somebody and we were discussing United, like probably you guys in the UK do, where maybe you had a best friend that was a United fan, and you guys, just talked about football all the time and talked about the team and all this shit. I didn't really have that aspect. So, like, growing up, I sort of had a little bit of a bubble. The only thing I had was my father, of course, but I had a little bit of a bubble, and I just always... for me, it was always Liverpool, and I just always assumed that I'm like, well, that's how it is for the whole fan base. But growing up later, and then you meet different people, like, there are people that hate Arsenal more than they hate Liverpool. I can't understand it, because it doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. It's their thing. They're allowed to have their own thing. There's some people that hate Leeds more than they hate Liverpool. It doesn't hit that way for me, but if it hits that way for you, fine. Like, who am I to tell you what? But I just always assumed that it was like we all like Liverpool was the biggest thing that we hated, and that was universally accepted by everybody. And then under Liverpool comes whatever other team you want to insert. There's some United fans that hate Chelsea more than they hate any other team. I don't understand it. I don't get why. It doesn't really fucking make sense. But whatever. That's their thing, you know? I don't know. See, like Simon says, I'm 62 and I hate Arsenal. It's just it's what it is. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a personal thing, which is fun. I remember when we played QPR in the last game of the season a few years ago, and City snatched that title from us last minute goal. Yeah, that's you can thank that dickhead, Simon. Who was it? Who was it? He just got arrested for assaulting somebody. Who was the player? It wasn't Gareth Barry, bro. It was the other guy on QPR. That shithead. That he got a red card for absolutely no reason. And if he didn't get a red card, they wouldn't have won it because they had absolutely fucking nothing going for them until he got a red card in like the last like 10 minutes of the match. And then after he got the red card, QPR was totally cooked. I forgot his name. But he's the biggest dickhead in the world. I never forgave him for that because I was there watching it. I was watching it. I was simultaneously watching it, and obviously we did our thing, so you know we were done. So I kind of stopped watching our match, and I was watching their match, and I'm like, I was like, QPR is doing a madness right now, absolute madness. They were fucking so solid, and then this guy decides, for whatever reason, he just wanted to be a dickhead and get a red card, and I think he did it on purpose. Honestly, that's how I always felt. I think he did it on purpose. Because I think he hated us the most, and he was like, "Fuck this," and he didn't want us to win the title, and so he's just like, "I'm gonna go get a fucking red card." I hope I'm not going to jinx this, but under Carrick, we have never failed to score. Well, that's also a good thing as well. So I don't think he'll jinx it. I think we'll score. Chelsea will be waiting to get a new manager for the next 3 months. Oh, Richard's here. Hi, Richard. He did come to say hello to Lime, to give him membership, which he did. We got 15 likes. Thank you. It does not update on my end very well, so thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Greatly appreciate that. The barmaid in our local is a City fan, but we just have friendly chats, nothing bad between us. Oh, that's fine. Listen, some of those City fans are all right, you know. The older ones, the ones that, you know, were born and grew up there and lived the life of like never seeing them winning anything. You know, those they're typically very humble, I think. I believe. As far as I've seen. They're typically very humble, you know? They're all right. It's these new ones that were never fans before that you know, they jumped on the bandwagon and then they wanna talk shit to everybody like they're God's gift. Those are the problem ones. Those are the ones nobody likes. Arsenal aren't a threat. Never have been. Just annoying fans. Like all London clubs, biggest rivalry is Liverpool defo. Yeah, Leeds are now 9 points above Spurs. Access growing up, there was the rivalry between United and Chelsea. Well, yeah, I remember that as well. I can't say I hate Chelsea more than any other team, but some United fans of my age do because of how it was. Listen, I always had a thing for that as well. Like, I remember that. I grew up during that time as well, and I remember that, and I remember, you know, the back and forth of that, and I hated them at that time. I hated them at that time because obviously they're the ones that were either, you know, stealing titles from us, beating us to it, or, you know, they were a thorn in our side in that, you know, we were trying to win it and they were really giving us a go for our money. And they were the ones that were like challenging our success at that time. But it only sort of lasted for that time because then after that, you know, they sort of did this thing where it was like, they'd disappear for a few years, then they'd reappear for like 1 year, they'd win the Prem, then they'd disappear. So I'm like, all right, but listen, you guys aren't like that serious either. You know what I mean? You've won some things here. It was really serious under Mourinho. Mourinho left, and now it's like sort of dead to a certain degree. Joey Barton. Yes, that's who it was. Thank you, Steph. Couldn't remember. Joey Barton. What a dickhead. I will never forgive that guy. Simon says, okay, guys, I'm off to do a few things. Have a good weekend, all, and let's smash the Scousers again. Good. We'll see you later, Simon. Thank you for being here. Be good, and definitely let's smash these Scouse bastards, to quote somebody that said that once upon a time. I thought you were God's gift to women. No. Definitely not. Definitely not. I don't think I would say that. Axe says, I told them the same thing many times. What? I don't know what's happening. Listen. Carrick said that Cunha has trained a bit, so we're quite hopeful for Liverpool. We're not certain, but optimistic. I would like a better update on that. So hopefully Cunha is back. I mean, he's trained a bit, so at the very least, he'll be on the bench. And he'll be part of the squad if he's trained a bit. I mean, I don't know what trained a bit means, but I would assume trained a bit means that he's trained with the team a bit. So, the more the merrier. I would like him back because, as we saw, I mean, to be fair, I mean, Ahmad is struggling a bit this season. He hasn't had a great season. Last season was way better for him. And he hasn't had a great season. He's one that hasn't particularly had a great season. It's gone down a level this season. So, you know, and we're already quite a bit limited in those positions, or you know, in terms of options. So, you know, and I like Cunha. I like his attitude. I like his firedness. I like his mentality. I like his toughness. Okay, he's got the physicality. We could use these things, so I'd like him back. So hopefully, he will be available for us versus Liverpool, because we're gonna need him and we're gonna use him. We need to use him. And Carrick also gave us an update on De Ligt and said De Ligt isn't quite ready, but apart from that, we're in good shape. So no other further injuries or anything like that. When does Licha come back? Is it after this match or after the match after that match? Because I don't remember. But Carrick was also asked about finishing above Liverpool. He says it shows the progress of the group. We came into this game in a strong position. I'm aware of the league table, but that's not our focus. We're treating it as a one-off match. Well, it is sort of a one-off match. We have one match in front of us. We need to deal with this match. The rest follow suit. So, you know, it is a 6-pointer. We should probably treat it like a cup final to a certain degree. You know, everything else falls in place after that. So, we got one job. Win this game. And everything else falls in line and everything else is fine. So, we'll see how it goes. What else do we have? Let's take a look at the team's forms. And stuff like that. Oh yeah, we're playing Sunday. I don't know why I thought it was Saturday. Alright, so we all playing Sunday. So obviously Licha is suspended with a red card. And De Ligt is out injured. And won't be back. And Cunha is doubtful because he had that groin, but we just got that little update from Michael Carrick. So, you know, Cunha should be back on the bench at the very least if he did a little bit of training. he still had today and he still has tomorrow to recover a little bit more, and then the match is on Sunday. So no problems really there. And then Luke Shaw is listed as doubtful with a knock, but I don't think Carrick gave us any update on that. So I do expect Luke Shaw to be in the team, unless, we're just sort of withholding that information and, he won't be involved, but we'll see how that goes. And then obviously, like, between us, so, our last 5 matches, we got a win, draw, a loss, and 2 wins. And Liverpool have a draw, loss, and 3 wins. So we basically have the same record in the last 5 matches. The only thing is that, they're on a 3-game winning streak in a row. We're on 2. So they're in a bit of a better form now than they were, obviously, with the 3 wins in a row in the Premier League. And then, just team streaks, okay? Liverpool, they don't have a clean sheet in 3. So in the 3 wins that they haven't kept a clean sheet, which is good for us because we are home. We have home advantage. And obviously we need to score. So they're letting up goals in that department, okay? For United, specifically for us, there's been at least 3 goals in 6 out of the 7 last matches we played. Both teams have scored in 6 out of the last 7 matches we played. We have scored the first goal 4 out of the 5 last matches we played. So I do expect there to be goals in this game. Like Steph was saying, we haven't failed to score under Carrick. So I do expect us to score. There is sort of the trends that Liverpool are letting up goals, but I do expect, Liverpool to at least get 1. So, I think we're going to have to, I don't think we'll necessarily keep a clean sheet. We haven't really done so. As you could see, 6 out of the 7 last games, both teams have scored. So we're not keeping clean sheets, and there's been at least 3 goals in the match. So I do think whoever is the most clinical, whoever takes their opportunities, specifically in this game, it's gonna be the deciding factor. I don't think defense is gonna win this game. I think it's gonna be offense. So whoever scores the most goals and takes their opportunities, coming off of the last match that we just played, we were a bit fortunate in some of the circumstances that Brentford were a bit shit because we allowed them to get in very good opportunities. And they couldn't finish their dinner. So, they ended up scoring sort of one worldly from outside the box. But they could have scored another 2 or 3. And I said in that Red Devil recap, if we make those same mistakes and allow those same chances against a team like Liverpool, they will score those goals and we will get punished for it. So we can't do that. And, I think, listen, we're going to need 3 goals. I think we need 3 goals. I think we need 3 goals in the game. Slices of Sid. 5572 says, "What's up, man? What's up, bro? What happened to Aston Villa? I don't know. What do you mean? What happened to Aston Villa? I don't know what you mean by what happened to Aston Villa. Are you going to be happy watching the World Cup? Of course. I might go to some of the watch parties here. The large gatherings. I might go to one of them. They got a few in the city. I don't know how they're doing it, but we'll see how it goes. What is this double midfield transfer blow? Can you specify? Well, I'll specify, brother, because you asked so nicely. So we got, there was a couple updates from Laurie Whitwell today saying that, number one, Nottingham Forest owner would like £125 million for Elliot Anderson. And if that's the case, he said that Manchester United won't do that deal, and that won't happen. And Manchester City can obviously do that deal, and it will happen for them. So if the fee can't be lowered for Elliot Anderson and he holds out for 125 million, and Manchester City agreed to pay to that, Elliot Anderson is done. 100%, because we're not paying 125 million for a player. We literally can't afford to do so. And we won't do so. So that's one guy. Okay. And then the other update that we got was that apparently Liverpool have opened negotiations with Adam Wharton. And they want him, and there has been contacts between the parties, and he's quite clearly, obviously, has been on our list and is an option. He's not a priority, but he is an option. But if Liverpool make him a priority and they're sort of he's their first target, well, he'll probably end up at Liverpool. We didn't move for him. Elliot Anderson will go to City. Warren will go to Liverpool. And that's two sort of targets on that list gone. And not only is it double, not only is it a double midfield blow, because it goes a bit further than that. Tonali is one that we're still kind of considering, but he can be priced out as well. And Laurie Whitwell said that the price would be too much. And I also said, well, listen, if Elliot Anderson ends up going for 125 million pounds to Manchester City, Newcastle are going to use that as they're going to use that as sort of a benchmark for Tonali. So if Elliot Anderson is too expensive at 125 million, then we're not going to be able to get Tonali either, because they're going to ask for 125 million or more. And if we can't pay 125 million for Anderson, we can't pay 125 million plus for Tonali. And then also the thing with Tchouaméni, people want Tchouaméni. Laurie Whitwell said it'd be interesting if United can pull it off, but he said the only thing that he's heard since is that it could be a way for him to get a new contract at Real Madrid. So our name could be being used once again by the agent of Tchouaméni to drum up interest so that he can get a new contract at Real Madrid, which I think is very plausible, which means very quickly at some point Tchouaméni can sign a new contract and he's off of the table. Elliot Anderson can go to Manchester City, so he's not coming to us. Tonali can be priced out of a deal, so he's not coming to us. Adam Wharton could go to Liverpool. And bingo, bongo, bamo, just like that, 4 targets on the list are no longer on the list. So, yes. Slice of Sib says, I personally think we can keep a clean sheet this game, in my opinion. Well, I mean, listen, maybe we can. It's football. You never really know. Anything can happen. But, just looking at the trends in the way that, what's been trending specifically for our team, we haven't kept a clean sheet in 6 out of the 7 last matches we played. So it doesn't really favor or lean that way. Listen, maybe we do it. It's a derby. Anything can happen. It's football. Anything can happen. It doesn't always have to follow the trends, but, where we are right now, in the way that both teams have sort of been going about things, it's not really leaning that way. So, we'll see. I mean, I didn't even do the head-to-head streaks, which is directly between Manchester United and Liverpool. And I guess there's always sort of a first for everything, but Manchester United versus Liverpool directly, United have no clean sheets in the last 5 meetings. Is that correct? Oh, because we beat them 2-1. I don't know why I thought we beat them 1-0. Yeah, so that's correct. No, it's not correct. We had a clean sheet. Oh no, never mind. Nope, we didn't. Yeah, that is correct. We don't have a clean sheet in the last 5 times we played them directly. We do not have a clean sheet. We have not kept a clean sheet against them. Also, 5 out of the last 5 times we played Liverpool, there has been at least 3 goals in the match. And also 4 out of the 5 last times we played Liverpool, both teams have scored a goal. So, you know, we're getting better for sure on the defense. I mean, listen, we've improved. I think we've improved, but I think personally the way the match is gonna go is we will score, but I do think that they will score, and therefore we need to score more than 1 goal. I don't know how many goals they'll score. Maybe they just score 1. But I personally think we're going into this match, no matter what, we need to score more than 1 goal. So we need minimum, we need to score 2. Minimum. I'm telling you now, if Areola comes on, I will go full Jupiter and all its mine. Who? Areola. With an I. The main way Liverpool will score is from outside the box, like Jensen did, Szoboszlai or Gakpo. Yeah. Could be as well. I mean, listen, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't necessarily disagree with that slice. I just think that somehow, some way, they'll get one. You know what I mean? Just somehow, some way, they'll get one. And I think, you know, if you look at our past couple matches, okay, like not playing directly against Liverpool, just specifically for us, we haven't kept a clean sheet in 6 out of 7 matches. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's not like we're in the form of keeping clean sheet. So if they do it, fantastic. I'll be happy as day because it'll just, you know, it'll be even better. We'll keep a clean sheet. We beat them. We get 3 points. It's like the ultimate thing that you can do. But I just don't really have the feeling that that's going to kind of happen. I do lean into the trends a little bit here in the form and how the teams are looking. So, yeah, 125 million pounds for Anderson's diabolical, and I prefer 3 new midfielders personally. Thank you. I like you already. I've been saying 3 midfielders. We got a couple people who've been saying 3 midfielders, but I've been saying 3 midfielders for like, you know, basically since Casemiro announced that he was leaving. So, what, January? I've been saying 3 midfielders. You know, we keep getting updates. Oh, you know, United are definitely going to sign 2. And it's like, well, they should change the language to United definitely going to sign 3 because we're missing 1. We're missing 1 already right now. Okay, that's 1. We're losing Casemiro. We got to replace him. That's 2. And we need to sell Ugarte and get somebody that we can actually use and can actually have an impact. So that's 3. And I think that's non-negotiable. You know, if INEOS are serious and they're going to do a job, okay, and they're not going to try and half-ass shit and pass it off as something like they did something amazing and it's like just average, all right? They got to get 3 midfielders because Ugarte doesn't provide us with what we need. So he needs to be replaced. And if these guys are going to do the job that they've been saying that they're going to do and that they want people to believe, well then, you know, forget their words, their actions. You know, have the balls and have the, you know, be proactive and take Ugarte and say, you've been here for 2 seasons. We bought you. You haven't really lived up to what we expected. We need more. You're out the door. And I say the same thing with Joshua Zirkzee and anybody else. But mainly for me, them two. Joshua Zirkzee and Ugarte, we can do better. We can get players that give us more than both of them. We can get players that are more versatile than both of them. We should move them on, cut our losses before it gets worse, because I don't see them improving, and I don't see them doing better. And there are players out there right now that you can go get that them walking in the door are already better than those two options. Wharton is a good player as well. Yeah, well. For a top target, you must spend big. I reckon 100 mil for Tonali. Well, listen, I don't know. Newcastle's going to make it difficult. We've seen that. They made it difficult with Isaac. They made it difficult for us when we tried to get Dan Ashworth. So they're not pushovers. And they rate Tonali highly. And they're going to want a lot of money. And as we seen sort of last summer, okay, we bought Cunha for 60 million with the buyout clause. And Brentford gave us a problem because they used, with Mbeumo, because they used Cunha as a benchmark. Since they play a similar position, they used him as a benchmark, and they gave us a hard time negotiating. And I feel like Newcastle will probably do the same, because they already want a lot of money for Tonali, they already rate him highly, and I think the sale of Elliot Anderson, which City will probably do before the World Cup, is going to set the precedent of a benchmark for the rest of the midfielders. Because everybody's going to use it as sort of, well, they signed a 21-year-old that's at this talent for this amount of money. We have a player that is better developed than that guy. And so we want a higher fee, or we want the fee matched. So it's a bit of a problem. Also, Tonali is quite coveted as well, which plays into their hand, because Arsenal might want him, we might want him. Natasha says City will get him. You get 2 or 3 teams that go after him. Now you got a transfer bid war. Plus, he's a highly rated player, so it could get quite expensive for Tonali. So, the owners are billionaires. Just spend £1 billion per transfer season. Why not? Because it doesn't work like that, Axe. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Even if they came out right now and they said, we want to put in $1 billion, we wouldn't have it available. There are rules and regulations. You cannot just inject money from your bank account. They can't just go and say, we're billionaires, we're going to go spend $1 billion now. They would have to do it through a legal process. I explained this to you already. It's like Chelsea. Chelsea owned hotels. Okay? They sold the hotel because that is legally allowed to be used for transfer funds. So Todd Bowley didn't go into his bank account and put the money into Chelsea. They used shit that Chelsea owned, which was a financial deal because they owned a hotel. They sold the hotel and then took the cash to use it for transfers. One way we could do this is if we did, a sponsorship deal with INEOS, because INEOS own us, and we could do a sponsorship deal, like how INEOS had Tottenham, they had the sponsorship with INEOS. We could do that, and they could inject the money, but I already explained to you why they won't do that, because it literally doesn't make sense. They only own 28% of the club. They already put in a certain amount of money. They already paid the Glazers a certain amount of money. They're not going to inject more money into something that they don't own the majority of. It doesn't make sense for them to do such a thing, so it's never going to happen. Yeah, you're right. We might not keep a clean sheet. Well, listen, I hope we do. I mean, it'd be great. You know what I mean? It would be great. That means top performance. We shut them out. We keep a clean sheet. We obviously win because we'll score. And we'll do the double over them. And we'll make them cry. And we'll finish above them. So, it's all in one. Golden rule, 3 goals usually guarantees 3 points. Well, you would like to think, unless you're PSG and Bayern Munich, then 3 goals does not guarantee you 3 points. You need 6 goals or 7 goals. My biggest concern every United game are refs and VARs. Well, yeah. I mean, the refs and VARs is a big concern for everybody in the league. They've been absolutely terrible. So, it depends on the midfielders, I mean. Garte and Xerxes must be moved on, true. It's only because the owners that we are in this shit, their management made us unattractive as a team and financially behind our rivals. And now they don't spend. Well, they don't spend because they... I mean, we do spend, but we are restricted. We are restricted because they ran it into the ground in terms of we lost too much money and they overspent because they did it one way for commercialization, but it hurt the football aspect. So they put themselves into a hole. Well, they put ourselves in a hole. It would be the goal to get Tonali. I mean, that's what I said. I said, for me, listen, if you're going to try and plug the hole of Casemiro, which is a massive hole, and we're going to struggle to sort of, replace that, I think Tonali is the best possible option you could fill that hole. I don't think you... Like, for me, I sort of pictured as a pothole in the road, right? And you could patch this pothole 50%. It's still decently deep and can fuck up your car. You can make it 75%. I don't think you can make it 100% because I classify Casemiro as a unique player. And unique players, you can never 100%. You can never 100% replace a unique player because they are unique. So the only way you could kind of do that is get a different unique player, which will sort of fill the hole to a certain level, but then they might give you something that guy didn't necessarily have, but they give you something else, so it sort of evens out in a different way. So, how doesn't it work like that? They have money, many billions of pounds. Axe, if you go Google and you read the rules, it doesn't work like that. They can't just take money out of their bank account and put it into the club. It doesn't. There are legal ramifications. So unless you want our club to get hit by FFP and the other one, PFA or whatever the fuck it's called, okay? Unless you want us to get penalized and transfer banned and just completely fucked, there are rules and regulations to that. That's why Manchester City are facing 115 charges. Because the whole thing about that is that they set up fake businesses to do fake sponsorships, which they funneled the money through. Because that's what you need. You can't... It's the same reason as to why Newcastle United are the richest club in the world, and they cannot spend the money. Because there are rules and laws that you can't just take the money and put it directly into your club. It has to be earned through business dealings. So our owners, even if they woke up tomorrow and they got hit on the head and they decided they want to put in £1 billion for the summer, they can't do it. It's legally not possible. They can do it, but we'll get deducted points. We'll get transfer banned for it. You cannot do it, bro. It's against the rules. It's against the rules. There's legal ways to do it. Like I just explained, if you sign a sponsorship deal, it's counted as revenue. And if you sign a large sponsorship deal, I don't know, 500 million, now you can spend that money. PSR, that's what it was. I said PFA. PSR and FFP, yeah. Starting in the 2026-27 season, the Premier League is replacing PSR. So I seen this. I did actually have a video about it on the channel. With the squad cost ratio system limiting spending on wages, agents, and transfer amortization of 85% of clubs' football revenue and player sales, the shift aimed at higher financial sustainability will be monitored in season with potential points deductions for exceeding 115% of the cap. It will allow us to spend more money, but it will also allow those other clubs that already can spend more money than us to spend more money as well. So It's literally exactly what City do on a regular basis. Nothing happened to City. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you're saying to do it for this summer. We won't be able to get the money in for this summer. It's already too late. It's already too late. The books are already balanced. You can't do it for this summer. And you can do it the way that they did it, but the way that they did it is illegal. And here's the thing. We don't have the pull that City have. And without getting too political, okay? They're owned by Saudi Arabia. And if you look at England, there's a lot of money that comes from Saudi Arabia that has to do with the country. So they have a lot of influence. Our owners don't have that influence at Manchester United. If we did what City did, we would be fucked. We would be totally fucked. They would have killed us already. There's a lot of things going on in the background, money under the table, going to different bank accounts and shit like that. Okay? City go to court, they hire 150 lawyers, probably the best in the world. United aren't hiring 150 lawyers, the best in the world. We're not getting away with it. So, it's not happening. And anyway, we're discussing this for no reason, because the Glazers are never going to do such a thing. And it doesn't make sense for INEOS to do it. So, we're talking about something that's literally never going to happen. Where was I though? I don't know. I lost my train of thought now. I went on a tangent about something else. Oh, I wanted to check. They got any players out injured, Liverpool? Mamashvili injured. Does that mean Allison is back? Apparently he's got a leg injury. Ekatike has an Achilles tendon. He's done. I remember that. Salah's got a hamstring and is not making it, as confirmed by Slot. Stefan Becic has a hamstring and won't be there. Endo has a broken ankle, so he ain't going to be there. And it says Allison is doubtful with a muscle, so I don't even know if Allison's going to play. But it says Mamashvili has a leg injury. So, I mean, if he's not available and Allison can't overcome this muscle injury, who's playing in goal for them? Third string goalkeeper? Yeah, now you're spitting nonsense, Axe. You know they're never going to do that. In fact, if you told them that, they'd laugh right in your face and then walk away. Oh my god, what a photo. I just seen a picture of David Beckham, Yao Ming, Jackie Chan, and Shaquille O'Neal all together. That's, what a timeline we live in. Mo Salah is out this Sunday. He is. But I'm interested to know, because I'm seeing here, I'm interested to know what's with the goalkeeping situation, because it says Mamashvili is injured with a leg injury. And it says Allison is doubtful with a muscle injury. So, I know Mamashvili was playing because Allison was out. But if Mamashvili is injured and Allison doesn't make it, who is their third string goalkeeper? Let's see. Freddie Woodman, Armin Pesci, Harvey Davis, or Cornell Miscure. The oldest one is Freddie Woodman, so I guess he's the one that would play. He's English, 6'2". Yeah, he might be okay because he said he's doubtful, but I don't know what he's got. So, um, the last time he played was this guy Freddie Woodman. The last time he played was April 25th, 2026. Oh, so he just played. Oh yeah, so he did just play. Yeah, because Momer got injured versus Everton on the 19th, like 32 minutes into the match, and Freddie Woodman had to come in, and then he had to play the next match after that because Momer was still injured. So they got 2 wins with this guy in goal. One versus Everton, one versus Palace. Areola. Areola. IR, not Areola. People, do you remember that goalkeeper of Liverpool who's married to a beautiful woman but gave Real the UCL? Yeah, he plays for who's he play for now? He plays for a team in the Prem. I forgot what team he plays for. I forgot what team he plays for. I mean, all right. Since January 17th, okay, we beat City 2-0 at Old Trafford. We won 3-2 versus Arsenal away. We beat Fulham 3-2 at Old Trafford. We beat Spurs 2-0 at home. We tied to West Ham 1-1. We beat Everton 1-0. We beat Crystal Palace 2-1 at Old Trafford. We lost to Newcastle 1-2. That's at James Park. We beat Villa 3-1 at Old Trafford. We drew 2-2 with Bournemouth away. We lost to Leeds at home 1-2. We beat Chelsea 1-0 and we beat Brentford 2-1. So we were rolling. That was intentional. I know. You're the second person to do that. I mean, I'd probably go with Carrick, bro. Again, to me, like, it doesn't make it doesn't make the biggest difference that all that much in terms of the larger picture, because I think, again, like I said the other day, you get a Carrick, you get a Iriola, you get a, I don't know, Eddie Howe or whatever. Like, these guys are all about in the same similar level. Even an Unai Emery, even though I think a lot of people would expect to win the title under Unai Emery, but I don't, because I don't rate him like that. But I think all of those guys, I think they're all pretty much in the same class level. And I think any one of these guys that you have, I don't believe they would be able to actually go and win the Premier League, successfully challenge it, unless they're there for 3 years and build the team to that. And then after like the 3rd season or so, then they could probably really go for it. But I kind of view all these guys as, they're kind of like transition managers. They're kind of like builders, stabilizers, I call them. It's, you know, they can have us playing to a certain level and be consistent on a certain level and, like, you know, stay in the Champions League for a few seasons in a row. And then from there, you got to see what it is. And it either, a higher tier manager becomes available and you take the next step with him, or if it is progressing quite nicely under the guy that we have and we're getting stronger and stronger, well, then obviously you just keep going for it. So, but I do view these guys quite similarly to sort of like an Arteta type of thing. Like, he could come in, stabilize you, grow you a little bit, but at some point, they're either going to prove that they're taking you closer to getting over the line and getting over the line, and if they can't, which like Arteta has proven that he can't, well, then you have to move on to the next level. So that's how I see them. So to me, it's like if you get Carrick, if you get Areola, like we're basically. I mean, there's some slight differences. Like obviously, I think there's more of a risk with like somebody like Areola than maybe like Carrick in certain circumstances, because Carrick understands the club and he's handled the pressure before and he knows the expectations, and that I think that's a big boost in his corner to compared to somebody like Areola, who it might be quite overwhelming for him. All right. But I still think like, the lack of experience from both of them in different areas, I just view them as it's a bit of it's just a bit of an unknown. Like they could come in, they could do well for a couple of seasons. They could lose their job in a year. But I just kind of view it as like it's not an Enrique, it's not an Ancelotti, it's not a Tuchel, it's not an Antonio Conte, it's not these guys that have won Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. So it's a bit of a transition growth period under these guys. Do you think there are better managers available in the market better than Carrick? I mean, they could be in certain aspects. Again, with some of these guys, I think a lot of them have only managed to a certain level. So it's like, they could have more years than Carrick, and they might have been through a couple more things than Carrick, and so they have a bit more experience in that aspect. But me knowing my club, like, that's all fine and well, but all that shit goes out the window when you come to us, because we have an immense amount of pressure and an immense amount of scrutiny. And if you can't fucking handle that, you're not going to survive, bro. You won't survive. And I think the one thing that benefits Carrick the most is like, yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't have like a CV to the extent of some of these other guys in terms of he's only managed Middlesbrough, and maybe the other guys have managed like 4 or 5 different clubs and have done it for 10 years, but they've never managed. They've never been a part of a club that's as big as Manchester United. At least for Carrick, he's done it as a player. So I think Carrick has that going for him. I think it's a huge plus for Carrick. I think if Carrick doesn't have the history that he has with United, and you take him as what he is as a manager, and he's just some random guy, I don't think he'd be able to handle the situation at Manchester United. I don't think he would be ready for it. But I think because he already experienced United as a player, with all the expectations and all the pressure, and actually getting over the line and winning things as a player with the group that he did, I think that's something that these other guys, they don't have that in their experience as a manager. They don't have that. They didn't do it as a player, and they haven't done it as a manager. So I think it's 2 different sort of aspects. Carrick was fired from Middlesbrough. Now Middlesbrough is about to qualify for the Premier League. Well, shit happens, bro. I mean, he did quite well there. It is Middlesbrough. Well, we have more resources. Loads of managers get fired, and they move on and they go and do shit at other clubs. So I don't think it's necessarily the problem that he got fired from Middlesbrough. He did quite well when he walked in there. And his time there at Middlesbrough is it's more positive than it is negative. It's not like he walked in there and he was shit and he got sacked. He did quite well with them, and it just came to an end, which happens a lot in football. So. Um, I mean, there might be one or two guys, out there, but truly available, like truly available. Like I'm saying, like even if we paid for them to get them, I don't think there's a lot. I don't think there's a lot of options. I think you're talking about sort of two different elks of managers. I think there's a top tier and then there's just sort of a mid tier. And anybody in the mid tier doesn't make really a good argument for me that I would say that they have to get the job over Carrick. If you're giving me a top tier option, it obviously makes sense because it's just a whole different level. But those guys aren't available and we're not going to be able to get them. So for me, it's simple. We're going to give him the job just because there are no better options available and too cheap. Well, sure. I mean, sometimes you have to go by the circumstance. Like, he's done a good job. There's no, like you're saying, there's no better options available. So what you want to do? It is what it is. I think everybody's sort of saying the same thing, pretty much. They're like, if you could give us Enrique or you give us Carrick, I'm sure some people would take Carrick, but I think a lot of people would be like, no, let's take fucking Enrique because it's Enrique. But you can't get Enrique. So what you gonna do? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? So we are where we are, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the other options that are available that we could go get, they're not, they don't really do it in terms of like, oh yeah, like I'll take that guy in a heartbeat because he's fucking amazing. They're just like, yeah, you know what? They're probably decently good, but it's like, are they anything special? No. So might as well go with Carrick because he's a bit of the unknown and who fucking knows, And he knows the club and he's already started. You know what I mean? I think that's the one thing too. I think the one thing is that like he's already started. I think it would be different if Carrick wasn't in the job right now and we're sitting here like analyzing options and we're like, well, Carrick's available. He's not in a job. Should we give him a go? And we'd be like, well, we don't know. I mean, he only managed Middlesbrough. We don't know how it's going to go, But the fact that he's already here and we're already seeing things happening and he's won 9 games out of 13, it does make a big difference. No, you're fine, Sanji. You don't gotta apologize, bro. I like when people keep the conversation going and talking, bro. I'd rather you flood the chat box than don't say nothing, because then I'm just sitting here trying to keep the conversation going. It's like talking to a chick that isn't that interested in you, and you're interested in her, and you're doing all the heavy lifting of the conversation. You know what I mean? It's nice when people. I like when people flood the chat box. Of course, when they flood the chat box with a real conversation, I don't want like spam or some shit. When people are saying real things, asking genuine questions and want to have a genuine, conversation, flood the damn thing all you want. I love it. I love it. No, but for real, like, like, it's nice when people are mutually interested, It's not like, that one chick, you text her and she's like, you send her a message and then she's like, you send her like a sentence and a half and she's just like, she just sends you okay with a period and you're like, all right, you know what? Like, I fucking give up, bro. I give up. Like, if you're not even gonna try, pretend a little bit. I don't know, something. Give me 4 words. 1 word and a period. And then you try, like, all right, let me hit this angle. You try to get something out of her. You send something smooth, and she sends you 2 words, and you're like, all right, I give up. I'm like, bro, I don't got time for this. You know what I mean? I don't got time for this. I don't got time for this. I'm saying real things. Most of them are only real in my imagination, but it still counts. No, it doesn't count. That doesn't count. 100 million from Champions League, 200 million more. So 300 million is our transfer budget. But the thing is, I don't think it necessarily works like that, my friend. Could be. But I don't think it necessarily maths that way because there's a lot of shit and I don't know what they do necessarily. Like, okay, I know this is a video game. And people like to make fun of people when they use video games as an example. But when you play, I don't know if you play Football Manager or even, FIFA career mode. But, you have that little option where you could go into, like, the finances of the club. And you have the little slider. And you can change sort of the percentage split or how much money is allocated. Right? And usually you go in there and it's like the club is only allocating you 50%. And you're like, yo, what the fuck? I need money. So some people put it to 100. I usually put it at like 85% so we don't go, broke. And then you have more money available in your budget. Now, the thing is, the way it's all calculated, I would assume, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm like 80% sure. If we have a 300 million transfer budget, we can't actually spend 300 million because we have other expenses. Operating costs, we're also still in debt. We're also paying, we're not even paying the debt. We're paying, what's it called? We're paying the interest on the debt. So we have to pay the interest on the debt. We have to pay money that we owe for players that we already bought, last summer, the summer before that, which I think we owe about 300 to 400 million still in unpaid transfer. So we're going to have to pay that. And then we have like operating costs and stuff. So if we don't produce a profit and we make a loss, we're going to lose money out of there as well. So, like, even if we make 300 million for a transfer budget, I don't think we'll be able to spend 300 million because they're going to have to preserve a certain amount of that. Because I'm pretty sure the way our finances are right now, we're still a bit in a position where, like, it's better than last season, but if we do too much this window and it doesn't go well for us next season, then the following summer window is going to be even worse than the previous summer windows because it's going to get tighter. We're like walking a tightrope right now. So I think if you spend 300 million and we have 300 million, I think that probably leaves us in a position where we could maybe do it. But if we don't have like some sort of a successful campaign next season and it goes really wrong for us, like if we don't get into Champions League or maybe we somehow fall outside of Europe or some shit and, we get knocked out of some cup competitions and we don't make it past like the table in the Champions League to the knockout stage and we lose money, that summer transfer window, we're going to be totally fucked. So, I was being optimistic with 300, but I guess you were saying it's not more than 220, something like that. Yeah, because they probably like, even if it is actually 300, like in total, they're probably gonna take some of that and allocate it. They won't use 100%. It's just the way it is, and it's just the way where we are. So, but the thing is, like, only they know that. You know what I mean? Only they know that. only they have the full picture, which is unfortunate for us because we can't trust them, right? Like, it would be okay if we were able to trust them. But the problem is, like, it's the Glazers. So there's no way to actually verify whatever they say. Like, they could tell us that, oh, we can only spend 200 million. Meanwhile, they could actually, in reality, if you had the full picture of the books and all the finances and all the details, you could have somebody that does the financials and say, well, you guys can actually spend 270 million, no problem. But we don't have access to that, because to have access to that, you need to be a Glazer or you need to be an INEOS. If you're not a Glazer or you're not an INEOS, you don't get access to 100% of all the financials of the club. And if you don't get 100% access to financials of the club, you can't get the full story. So that's why the stories, when they come out, and they always do this, maybe they won't do it this season because we're in a better place. We're finishing in Champions League. We're finishing third in the league and shit like that. So maybe they won't do it. But that's why they usually come out with a story and say United only have 100 million to spend. They'll probably do the opposite this season and probably say United have 300 million to spend. But they don't fucking know that. They won't be able to know that. They're guessing. They're guessing, and it's really an estimate because you're getting basic info. Like, they'll give you like the quarterly report, or what they made for the profit in the year, and you could do like some minor calculations, but you're not getting the full extent of it. So they're guessing, which is why I don't usually listen to that shit, because there's no way for them to be accurate about it. There's just no way. And finances in football is they're very delicate. Even like net spend is not real. Net spend is not accurate. Like, so when they report the club has a net spend, it's not accurate. But this is what the journalists report, and this is what people buy into. But none of the finances in football go that way. They just don't take their time to explain finances in the correct financial way because, let's be honest, it's boring, and football fans don't really give a fuck. They don't care. Like, football fans they're not in a Fortune 500 company. They're not wearing suits and ties. They're not analyzing numbers. They don't give a fuck. Most people are just regular people, probably working a blue collar job. They don't give a fuck about finances, so they don't take the time to break it down properly. But if you are a person that likes the truth and you like accuracy, well, they don't represent that when they give that to you. So United is on the NASDAQ. Their financial have to be open to the public. Certain financials have to be open to the public. Certain financials. It's not all the financials. They are required by law to have certain financials listed, but not all. And I remember specifically, I know this now specifically because when they were going to sell the club, okay, the New York Times, was it the New York Times? The Times, whatever. The financial fucking outlets and stuff. They explain this, that the bidders, even the bidders at the time, they had to go through the process to get to a certain level to accept, so that they can get the full book, the full United book of the financials. So there was people bidding, like, for example, INEOS and these other guys in the first initial stages, that they didn't even have the full picture of the entire extent of the financials, because they don't have to list everything. They only list what they're required to legally. It's not the full picture. So then once INEOS got to a certain level, and I believe it was INEOS and then Qatar, right? They were at this sort of stage. That's when INEOS was given access by the Glazers to the full picture of United's financials, the full 100% picture. But that picture is not available to the public. So only they truly know what it actually looks like. They could be lying to us. You know what I mean? For all we know, because who's going to fucking tell us? Nobody's going to tell us. For all we know, we could be fine. For all we know, we could be all right. We could be totally fine. And they're just, sending out, fake news to the journalists, basically saying, no, United are fucked, bro. We're fine. Financially, we're fucked, And meanwhile, that's not the truth. But unless you're a Glazer or unless you're INEOS, you will never know the 100% picture. So, yeah, I remember them specifically saying that, like, there are certain things that they need to required by law because we are on the stock market that it has to be listed, but they keep certain things. And that's how the Glazers are anyway. Anything that they're not required to do, listen, they're not going to break the law, okay? So, because they don't want to deal with that shit. But anything that they're not required to do by law and there is some sort of a legal loophole, they will exploit it. But if there's no legal loophole and they're required to do by law, they will do what they have to do. But everything else, if they're not going to run into a legality issue about it, they ain't fucking telling you anything. These are the people that they don't talk to the media and they don't talk to the fans and they don't like to be seen in public. They don't want to be on camera. These are the guys that they will not give you a fucking cent extra for anything. So I know for a fact that these guys, listen, whatever they can get away with legally, that there isn't some law about it that requires them to do it, that would get them in trouble, they're exploiting it and they're doing it. 100%. So it'll be 2 signings and that's it. No. It's not going to be 2 signings. Good night, sweet dreams. Well, good night. But yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. So, and that's the only thing is like you don't know. You don't know. We have to go off of the word, unfortunately. And I don't even know the journalists. You can't even really do investigative journalism because it's like how do you actually get access to the financials? You can't, unless like. The only way you would be able to do that is like, maybe Omar, because he's like the CEO or something. And like if Omar decided to go to like, some journalist and basically like fucking leak it, but he would be so fucked if he did that, He could probably go to prison for that. He could probably go to jail for doing such a thing. Because I'm pretty sure it's a clause in their contract. Like they are not allowed to disclose that information. If they disclose that information, you will face prison time. I think 4 signings and 3 academy players getting promoted. That's it. Yeah, I think 4 signings. I mean, 5 would be good. And I asked for 5 last season, and I think we could have used 5, right? And I think the 5th obviously would have been our midfielder that we were complaining about the whole time this season, and we didn't get him, and we got 4, and 4 was, I guess, kind of good enough. But I mean, when you look at the fact we got kicked out of the FA Cup and we lost the Carabao Cup, and we're not in Europe, and there was a couple games at times where we had Bruno out. We had a couple injuries here and there. We had the guys at AFCON. We could have used an extra player that would have been helpful during that period. So I would have liked 5. I think 5. We could probably use another 5 because we need more than 5 in actuality, but we're not going to get more than 5. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you sat there and analyzed the team and you said, listen, how do I transform this team into like a Premier League winning team? You're probably going as far as to 7 to 8 transfers. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit more. But we're obviously not going to be able to do 7, 8 transfers, but I would like 5. I think if you get 5 players, I think you're giving us the best possible chance at doing the best and having a really good, successful, next campaign. But I think 4 is a minimum, and I don't think they can do less than 4. I think if they do 3, it's very underwhelming. It's not enough. And I don't think I don't think it would lead to good results. So I hope at the very least they're quite aware of that. 3 is definitely not enough. 4 is the minimum. And 4 is like, if the signings and the quality is good and we get good targets, like 4 will be probably enough. But it's I'm one of these people that I always like to be over prepared than under prepared, because when you're under prepared, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, you're going on a trip. You know what I mean? And these people, there's 2 types of people in the world, all right? There's 2 types of people in the world. You're going on a trip. You might go for like a week or 2, all right? There's these people that they'll bring like 7 pairs of underwear. Okay? One for each day. All right? Then you got these other people that they bring like fucking 3 pairs of underwear, and they think that that's going to be enough. And even the people with the 7 pairs of underwear, I wouldn't fucking bring 7 pairs. Okay? If I'm going for 7 days, I'm bringing in 10. I would like to have 10. Just in case. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I probably won't use them all. I probably don't need them. But if some shit happens, all right? Maybe maybe I got a dog and he eats 3 of them. Now what? What? I got to go buy more? What if I'm in a place that they don't got more? What if I'm on like a cruise ship or some shit? I don't know. What if my suitcase with all my shit gets washed? I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, there's people that they just like they would bring. They're like, I'll go 7 days. I'll bring 7. I'll bring 10. I'll bring 3 extra. It doesn't hurt me to bring 3 extra. If I don't use them, I don't use them. It's kind of how I see it with this. Like, will 4 be good? Sure. If we get 5, is that going to hurt us? No. If anything, it's going to help us. Two mid, 1 left back, and 1 striker. Nope. No. Well, I don't know. You're saying, is that what you think we're going to get? Or are you asking me, is that what we should get? Because for me personally, we need 3 midfielders. Which is why I'm sort of asking for 5. Because I think 5 would make the most sense. Underwear, yeah. It was the first thing that popped in my head. That's why I'm asking for 5, because 5 would make the most sense. Because I think we need 3 midfielders. I don't necessarily know if I would go for a striker, although we kind of do need one. But we need 3 midfielders, and I do think we need a winger. And then, I don't know, a left back or a right back, even though, one of these guys, maybe somebody that plays both, can play both, left back, right back, can play either side. We do kind of need a striker, but I kind of feel like, listen, if we sign a winger, considering we play with 1 striker, I think we could have enough cover, because if Sesko's not playing well or he's not doing good, I mean, we've used Mbeumo there before, so we can kind of do that. Or I would put Cunha there. I could use Cunha there. I think Cunha can play there if we need him to. And then we have another winger. So it's like, I don't know if we necessarily need to go and get a second striker. I'm not against it, but I'm just trying to, how can we make it fit? The goalkeeper, I don't think I mean, it's not a thing that we need right now. I think our best move is, Sal Bayender. He's got to go. And then, we got Vitek. Just bring the kid as the second goalkeeper. I like Sene. I think he's done a good job. I think he's fine. I look for him to improve next season. He's our number one. He's our number one right now. And we got another young guy that is highly touted, and people say he's excellent. And I say, listen, we don't have money to spend on a goalkeeper. And we have a fucking guy there. So, bring him in. Use him in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, whatever. Let him get something. And we got two young guys. Two young goalkeepers that can compete with each other and grow with each other. And then go from there. You know what I mean? Am I going anywhere nice on holiday this year? Malta. I'm going to my parents' home country. Is Vitek our second option now? I mean, he could be. He should be. I don't see why not, Slice. At this point, I mean, listen. Again, I understand that there's a lot of things that we need to do, but I'm a realist about it. Would I like to stack and pack the shit out of our team? Sure, but it's not going to happen, you know what I mean? So that's why I speak in this manner. Because I'm trying to be realistic about it, and I'm looking at the options, and I'm saying, well, could we, yes, we need a second goalkeeper. If you look at the top teams, they all have a good viable option as their second keeper, okay, to some degree. But we don't have money to spend on that right now, and that's not necessarily a priority because we have lemons. So I can't really think of spending, a pound on the goalkeeper because we got our guy. We need a second. Vitek is there. Might as well just use him. Get rid of Biender. We'll take the money for him. It's like 10 million or something. And, let's take care of the bigger issues first. Then once we start plugging up everything, we can start filling the little holes in different spots. The midfield is a massive thing. It's huge. We need to get this right. We need to spend the correct amount of money on it and get the correct amount of players, because this is sort of tone setting for the next, could be 5 to 10 years. It's also the spine of the team. And once we spend this amount of money, if we do it correctly, we should have a good season. And that will allow us to spend more money the following summer, and then we can start plugging up a little bit more of the loose ends, the one off here, the one off there, and we need a left back, maybe we need a center back, or maybe we can get the second striker. And now we start plugging holes a little bit all over the field. So, why Malta? Because of Maltese. Well, I'm first generation American, but my family is from Malta. And they all live there. So when I take vacation, I go there to see them. I never go anywhere else. One day I'll go somewhere else. But, for me, it's just if I'm going to go, I always enjoy it. I always have a good time. I know I'm going to have a good time. I go there. I got all my friends, all my family. I've never not gone and not enjoyed it. So it's Yeah, Vitek should be our second option. Lemons is the reason Carrick gets the job for me. What do you mean? He has a lot of potential, but he is young as well. No, yeah, he is. But there's, that's what I'm saying. There's just certain things that we have to do. Decisions that we have to make, and we have to, we just have to prioritize certain things. Like, I understand people have a lot of expectations and demands, and I get that. I'm not telling anybody not to have those things, but I do think that there is a proper way to go about it, and you have to we got to take care of it in a order, in a system, especially for our situation. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's not be unrealistic. Like, would we all like for Manchester United to have 800 million and we could just go buy whoever the fuck we want? Sure. But we're not in that reality, are we? So there's no point in, like, speaking that way, in my opinion. Because it's totally unrealistic. But there is a realistic version of that. We can go and buy 4 to 5 players. We can get 2 to 3 midfielders. I think we need 3. And we can get another 1 or 2 positions after that. And that should be good enough for us to be good next season. And then you do it again the following season and you get whatever you're missing. Whether we need a center back, or maybe, we could start attacking the left back and the right back. We transfer a couple players out, we get some money, swap them in, swap them out. But it's like, it's just a less bigger deal, like, the attack was massive because it needed a massive overhaul. We did it. We spent a large amount of money on it. Okay? We seem set to do the same for the midfield. I think after you do the midfield, we don't necessarily have to maybe do it to the certain level that we did it for the midfield and the attack. We might have to do it for the defense a little bit, but I think it's a little bit less because we have the likes of Euro and Heaven. If Lisandro stays fit, he's staying with us. Maguire is old, he's going to leave us. Okay, and De Ligt, there's injury concerns. We might have to transfer him out. But it's not going to be massive that way. And then, we have Dorgu, who, if he's used at left back, he's a young guy. So really all you got to do is replace Shaw. All right. We do have we do have our young player. I forgot my son's name, bro. We have the young left back who's out on loan. I can't believe I forgot his fucking name. Harry Almas. Okay. We don't know what happens with him. Maybe he's good enough, maybe he's not. And then on the right back, like, there's Maz and Delo. We don't really have options for that. So one of them go, one of them stay. We bring in a new right back, going forward. How much does shit stop glazing? I didn't glaze it. It's my son, but I didn't glaze him. Is Malta like Spain? I guess kinda, but not. I mean, it's got nice weather. That's for sure. It's sunny. It's much, much smaller than Spain. And I think maybe Spain is it's got a bit of a different type of architecture, and it is maybe Spain is probably a bit more modern looking. So Delo is the best player in the world. Well, tell that to the rest of our fan base, because they do not like your husband. They do not like him at all. They don't like him at all, Grace. But yeah. Alright, guys. Dorgu left wing and we get a new left back, or Dorgu left back and we get a new wing. I think, Grace, that is ultimately the question that I'm struggling to answer, because I have absolutely no clue what they plan to do with the guy. I think it does make a large implication, and it makes it easier. And that's why I struggle to answer the question of when they say, left back or left wing. I don't know, because I don't know what they plan to do. I mean, it makes a difference. If we're going to use Dorgu as a left winger, then we don't need a winger, do we? We need a left back. But if we're going to use Dorgu as a left back, I think we can manage for this upcoming season. We can manage. So then we need a left winger, because we're short in that position. So, unfortunately, I don't know what they plan to do. And plus, I lean a little bit towards more just getting a winger because, like I said previously, like Dorgu only played winger a couple times. We only saw him a handful of times, or less than a handful. And we need a bigger sample size because he could have played well in those couple matches. But if we watch him play, I don't know, 30 matches at winger, there's always a possibility that he played like 4 games good and the rest were shit. And in that case would be like, yeah, he shouldn't play left wing. He should go back to playing left back. You know? So that's even more difficult because he did play well there. It looked like maybe something that could develop into something a bit unexpected, and we could have went in that direction. He got injured, so he got robbed of it. We got robbed of it. And we won't be able to figure it out, really, until he actually is able to come back and play, and probably something for next season. So, but they got to make the call on that because they're the ones in charge of the planning. So, you know, they have to make the call, and they got to make it like now. You know, what is the plan? You know, they're the so-called experts. They're the so-called ones with the, you know, analytics department and the data department and the, you know, $1.2 million machines that analyze all this shit, and the analysts that they pay for all this stuff. They're the ones with all of that. So they're the ones that need to be able to look at that stuff and be like, no, Dorgo can be used as a left wing. We're going to have to develop him a little bit, but we can go that direction, and then let's go get a left back. Or they say, no, like, listen, he was used there, but he's not really the best option for that. You know, he's not really the option that you would qualify to be like the main option. He's a good like backup option in case of emergency, but you know, we can go and get a guy that will do the job way better. Okay, let's do it. You know, let's go do it. Would you not go somewhere like Greece? No, I would. I just you know, maybe one day. I don't know, I'm not like I guess like if you go on vacation, like I don't know, like you got to go with people. So I don't know, some people take vacations, they go by themselves, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I would get bored and lost probably. If I had somebody to go somewhere with, I would, but I don't. So, you know, but I'll probably go later on, you know. I mean, if I make it there, but because you never know. But yeah, obviously we need Jamal. I'm never getting Jamal. Ilman and DA will be a super deal for our new winger. Well, people do like him. Lucky is here now, says Mateus Fernandez and push again. I like United players, how looking desire, personality looking join Manchester United. Baleba, Mateus Fernandez, Alex Scott, Ilman, the new centre back, Portugal, with tech. Slices of bread. You know slices of bread. He's not bread. Slices of sib. What is sib? Is sib bread? Or is Lucky just saying shit? I don't know what's happening anymore. Alright. You see how bad the light makes me look ugly? I don't got light here. I only have light here. So when I go into the darkness, I look crazy. You know. That's why the you know, the Instagram models, okay? The Instagram models will tell you lighting is everything. I guess they're right. I like players who care about club, Eric. Well, of course. What do you mean? It's one of the most important things. They got to care about the club. They got to want to join us, you know? They got to have good personality. They got to have a good attitude. And I've been saying this, like, listen, you can say whatever you want about INEOS, but I do give them credit because, again, I like the group of players that we've put together. The quality, we could always improve. Sure. I think that goes for any team, which is why I think teams are constantly buying new players. Because there's always room for improvement. But I like the feeling of the squad. They have, since INEOS has come in over the, what's it been, like 2 years to 3 years since they come in. The dynamic of the squad in terms of like the chemistry and how they feel as a group, it's a lot more positive than it used to be. I give them credit for that because they sort of been putting this together, and the squad does feel more together. They feel more gelled. They feel like they get on a lot more. Our old squads before them were a giant mess of selfish, cliquey, bratty individuals that thought they were God's gift to the world, and they didn't even accomplish anything, but, I'm the superstar of United, even though I haven't fucking achieved shit at this club, and then you guys are, my teammates are shit. And, yeah, it used to be really disconnected, really toxic. And you could see it in the play anyway. I mean, it's clear as day on the fucking pitch when, they show up and it's like, again, we used to sit here and watch games, and it's like they just met each other for the first time. Like, they didn't even know who the fuck they were playing with. It's like, dude, you guys all have been together for like a couple of seasons now. You are in training every day. And you people go on the pitch and act like you're playing with a stranger, bro. Like, that's a problem there. You don't gotta be best mates with the guy and hang out with him outside the pitch, but there's gotta be some sort of a connection when you're on the pitch. In training or something. It's like a workmate or some shit, Like, you might have one dude that, like, you work with at work that you guys hang outside of work. There's probably, like, another 4 or 5 people in there. There's, like, a mutual respect. You guys get along inside the workplace. You just don't hang out when you go out. But when you go into the workplace, you guys get shit done. We didn't have that aspect before. We got it now. To a little bit, to a certain degree, they're definitely more together. I think it could get stronger, and I think they're looking to make it stronger, and we need that. That's one of the key ingredients, Because, like, even under Ferguson, and listen, we've heard all the stories and shit, bro. There was players. Roy Keane's punching people in the face. He's beating the shit out of people in the locker room, but they had a certain level, like, bro, we had strikers that didn't necessarily, get along with each other, but from the manager and also from the players, they had an understanding that when you get on that fucking pitch, that all that other shit is bullshit, and you better do the job that's required of you, and you better act and play in a certain way and handle shit in a certain way. And then, we lost that. And now we're sort of getting it back in, I guess in the modern version. Because this group of players that we had, barring Sesko, Cunha, and Buemo and Lemons, okay, they finished 15th and lost the Europa League final to Spurs. And they didn't throw each other under the bus. They didn't throw the manager under the bus. They didn't start pointing fingers. They weren't going to the fucking media or the journalists basically leaking shit and saying like, oh, I'm all about my work, but that fucking guy doesn't take it seriously. They didn't do any of that. They were shit, but they were shit together, which is all you could ask for. I mean, because if you can be together when you're shit, you're going to be excellent when it gets turned around and you're in the positive light. So True, there were nearly zero brotherhood, zero family. I mean, the problem with what we had was it was like click. It was clicky, bro. It was like school. It was like school. You know what I mean? There was like 4 or 5 of them got along with each other, kind of. But I always felt like they looked down upon the rest of their teammates, and it was like, I run this shit, and you're just like my fucking servant. Um, and they didn't really get along. It's like they didn't really understand each other either. You know what I mean? Like they didn't understand. Like, do you ever hear Berbatov explain the goal that he scored when he? I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a goal that Berbatov scored where he picked up the ball, basically in our box. He picked up the ball, he took it off the defense, and he started the whole play. He passed it out. Okay, we counterattacked. And he explained this goal in that, like, he's like, I didn't sprint 100 miles per hour from our side to their side because he's like, on my way there, I saw Nani had the ball. And he's like, I know Nani. He's like, Nani likes to take a little bit more time. He's not going to play it quick. He likes to do his little step overs. So he's like, he knew Berbatov in his mind. He's like, I know Nani. I know what he's going to do with the ball. I know how he is. You think fucking Nani and Berbatov were like best mates hanging out, drinking coffee and going to the bar with each other? No. But he fucking understood the player. And he was like, I know Nani's going to do like 4 step overs. He's going to fuck around with the guy. So he's like, I got a bit of time. I don't have to like bum rush the goal. So he took his time, doing his little Berba jog. Okay? And then after like maybe the 3rd step over, he knew the ball was coming into the box. He accelerated a little bit, got into the position. Perfect timing. Ball comes in, he scores the goal. We under those previous teams, we didn't have that. The player didn't understand what the player with the ball was going to do. The player without the ball or with the ball didn't understand what the player without the ball was going to do. They had no connection. Now it's better. It could be way better because I think still when you watch our game, okay, there's aspects within the team that sometimes they are still not 100%. They second guess or, they don't know exactly what to do, but it's way better than it used to be. Way better. We need a few bullies in our club. That's why looking personality, how care about the club, Carlos Baleba, Mateus Fernandez, Tushimeni. Acts for bully the Glazers. Nani and Berbatov are cool and friends in RL as well. Well, no, I'm saying, like, I'm sure they're cool with each other. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how many times, like, Nani was, like, fucking hanging out with Berbatov, like, on a night out or something, Like, I'm sure Nani was hanging out with Ronaldo a lot. Anderson, actually, they were living in his house. So, Anderson and Nani were literally living with Ronaldo. You know what I mean? Not to say that they don't have a good relationship or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, the understanding that you have of your teammates, you don't have to be best mates with them, but you gotta have some sort of a connection. It's just, you don't gotta be best friends. You don't gotta be going to each other's houses, having dinner with the wives and shit on a daily basis to have some sort of chemistry with your teammate. We've had plenty of examples of that. But for whatever reason, that group of players that we used to have, they didn't have any of it. They didn't have any of it. Like you could see like Shaw and Rashford, okay? They were mates. They were always with each other. They were in sort of that English clique that was going on, okay? They had a good understanding with each other. Shaw and Rashford playing on the left-hand side, they had a very good chemistry. But then you look and it's like Shaw with somebody else. It's a fucking disconnect. Rashford with Martial or some shit. Disconnect. Not overpaid guys that use egos and had 3 girlfriends. Will brand Bruno as a United legend or a great? Well, I guess he's got to be a... I don't know, man. I mean, I guess he's got to be a great. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to be a legend without winning a Prem. or a Champions League. Unfortunately, I don't think that's all, like, it's not all his fault. I don't know. I mean, I think it constitutes what you determine as a legend, I guess. I think it's more of a personal thing. I don't really know how I feel about it right now because he's still here. So it's a good question. It just, what constitutes between a legend and a great? Is it the trophies? Is it the Premier League? Like, do you have to win a Prem to be a legend? Some people will say yes, some people will say no. I'm sure, like, but Gerrard did win a Champions League at least. I don't know. I really don't know. It's because I don't want to be throwing around the word legend around like it's like some fucking, like it's like some toy you just hand out. Like, I think, you earn that. Listen, Bruno, he's been our best player, best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. He's been the most impactful. He's carried us. Like, I'm not underestimating anything he's doing. It's just, how do you actually define a legend and then a great? Because I would say probably you have to win or help the club win a Premier League or a Champions League, at least one. But at the same time, I will say, like, unfortunately for him, I feel like that's a bit harsh that he doesn't get legend status because United were unable to win a Premier or Champions League because there's so many other factors besides Bruno himself that has led to the situation of us unable to win. The Glazes, the way our club is run, the players that he was with, like, it is a team sport. Like, Bruno could be the best player in the damn world, but the same goes for, like, look at Messi and look at Ronaldo. Would they still be amazing players? Sure. But if they were in, like, some shittier team, I'm not going to say that they wouldn't have won anything, but I don't think they win as much as they win because at the end of the day, it's a team sport. You have 10 other guys with you. So you could be as alien as you want. It could probably take you so far, but you're not going to be able to do what the shit that they did. Like, Messi came through in a team with Iniesta and Xavi and fucking Puyol, and bro, it allowed him to be as great as he could be, but he also had all those guys surrounding him. If you took Messi and you stuck him on Swansea, sure, Messi will score like 4 or 5 fucking goals, but is he going to win all the titles? Is he going to win, whatever, league titles and European titles? Like, it's not going to happen, right? So I kind of feel like for Bruno, it's a bit unfortunate because it's like he's a really good player. And I think, like, listen, if you rewrote a bit of the history and you just say, like, yeah, during Bruno's time, like, he won 1 Premier League or 2 Premier Leagues and, like, a fucking Champions League or something, or just 2 Premier Leagues or 1 Premier League or 1 Champions League. I think, like, you could say, like, yeah, he was so impactful and he got us a Prem or a Champions League. Like, he's a legend. But without that, it feels a bit weird to label him a legend without having, a major trophy tied to him. So, selfish Jadon Sancho, Ronaldo, Pogba, Alex Tevez. Well, listen, with Ronaldo, you know what it is. So, yeah, we all knew what it was. But I will say this, Lucky. Like, look at the list you listed. You know what I mean? Like, who is Sancho? And Pogba's Pogba. And then there's Alex Tevez. Like, none of them are Ronaldo. And I've always made the case for this. You can only be as selfish as you want if you are Ronaldo or you are Messi. even though Messi's not as selfish. But what I'm saying is, you can only do that if you're them, if you're him, because you can be selfish because he'll get you 3 goals, he'll get you 4 goals in a game. You know, he will score you 20 plus goals a season, so it makes up for it. The worst is the people that are selfish and they don't even produce for you. You know what I mean? The ones that are selfish and they're not even that good. They're not justifying the selfishness. With Ronaldo, I've always said, listen, the only way you get away with that is because he justifies it. There's nothing, you can't fucking say anything to him. Hey, he's selfish. He just scored you a hat-trick. Your team was down 3-1 in the semi-final of the Champions League. What did he do? Score a hat-trick and bring you to the next round, when you should have been knocked out. And if you didn't have that kind of player, it would have never happened, because nobody was going to do that. So, you know, it's all about context. Legend, obviously, for me. It's the same way like Kane is not a legend. I will never give Bruno legend status. Well, I think, listen, for Tottenham, but you know, we're United, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit different for us, because look at the legends we have and the people we consider legends, and look at what they accomplished. So for our team, it's different. But you're fucking Spurs. Like, I think Harry Kane for Spurs is a legend, because it's Spurs. You know what I mean? Like, what have they accomplished? Like, Harry Kane can easily be considered a legend for Spurs because it's Spurs. Like, you know, what do they got? Gascoigne? And that's about, like, you know, who are their legends? What have they done? What, like, look at ours. No, we got, bro, I can't even fucking name the, you know, Best, Cantona, Scholes, Neville, Giggs, fucking, bro, like, the amount of legends we have with the amount of shit that they accomplished. You know what I mean? Like, it's two different things. That's why, like Alan Shearer, you know what I mean? Like, he's a Newcastle legend, but he has to be, because what you know, what was Newcastle? What were they doing? He was just a really, really good player. The best player they probably ever had, up until, you know, a certain point, whatever. But he was the best player that ever had. He had the goal scoring record and all this shit, but they can't win a trophy. They were never able to win a trophy. But but they consider him a legend. They'll consider him a legend for forever. You know? And the Spurs fans will consider Harry Kane a legend. For sure. 100%. But for us, it's different. Because, you know, the legends we have. And they're legends because of what they accomplished. They won Premier Leagues. They won Champions Leagues. European trophies. You know. But they had the teams to do it as well. You know, and there's obviously, you know, Bobby Charlton and Sir Matt Busby and all that. But it's just like, yeah, for me, it's like, you know, I don't know. Like, listen, Bruno, he could score 20 goals and get 20 assists. The rest of the team, is 20 goals and 20 assists going to be able to get us into first place? You know, I don't think so. So it's like, what more can the fucking guy do? You know, it's like he needs other people. You need the rest of the team to be on a certain level. That's why I don't necessarily agree with, like, Ballon d'Ors when they do Ballon d'Or. You know what I mean? When they do, like, Ballon d'Or awards, like, I don't agree. Like, I don't even give a shit about the award anymore. But, like, when I was younger, I used to make the argument, like, you don't get the Ballon d'Or because you won the World Cup, because you didn't win the World Cup. You were on a team that won the World Cup. And in fact, actually, if we look at the stats, okay, there was a striker on your team that scored 15 goals in the tournament, and you scored like 5. And there's a guy on the team that had like 10 assists in the tournament, and you had like 6. And without them, you wouldn't have won the games that you did to win the World Cup. So why do you now get the Ballon d'Or because you won the World Cup? Because usually it goes like, oh, you know, they won the league, they won the league. But he won the World Cup. He didn't win the World Cup, so now he gets the Ballon d'Or. It's like, I don't rank it like that. if he was the top goal scorer of the tournament and he was the top goal scorer of the team, then yes, he single-handedly basically won his team the World Cup. But he was just part of a team, and actually there was players on the team that were better performing than him. So therefore, he didn't win the World Cup. His team, he was on a team that won it, and he won it with them. You know? So people need to stop calling him a legend. Listen, they're allowed to call him whatever they want. It's a free world. They think he's a legend, and you know, then he's a legend to them. But I'm pretty sure United classified him as a legend. So, you know, if you got a beef with that, take it up with the club. I'm pretty sure if you go on, didn't they put him in the list? If you go on the official website of Manchester United, right? We have a website, like a club website. I'm pretty sure there is, or it might be on the app, because we have an app. I'm pretty sure. I saw that shit last time. There is, inside the website, there is like, what the fuck? That was the weirdest shit ever. I don't know where it is, bro. Players? Okay, yeah, here, look. So on the ManUtd.com, okay, which is our official website, there's a tab called Players, and then it has Men, Women, Academy, and Legends. All right? So you click Legends, and we're waiting for it to load. And here we got Giggsy, Charlton, Scholes, Bill Folks, Gary Neville, Wayne Rooney, De Gea, Alex Stepney, Tony Dunn, Dennis Irwin, Joe Spence, Arthur Albiston, Roy Keane, Brian McClare, George Best, Mark Hughes, Michael Carrick, Brian Robson, Martin Buchanan, Rio Ferdinand, Jack Silcock, Gary Pallister, Marcus Rashford, Jack Rowley, Sammy McIlroy. Wait. Oh, that's top appearances. What the fuck? I just wanted the list of legends. Wayne Rooney, Dennis Law, Jack Rowley, Dennis Violet, Vanessa Roy, Mark Hughes, Tommy Taylor, Marcus Rashford, Ronaldo, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Andy Cole, Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, he's here. So, and under the Manchester United website in the Legends, we have two tabs in the Legends: top appearances and top scores. And Bruno Fernandes is listed in the top scorers Legends tab. So, Rooney, Charlton, Law, Rowley, Violet, George Best, Spence, Ryan Giggs, Mark Hughes, Paul Scholes, Vanessa Roy, Stan Pearson, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Hurd, Marcus Rashford, Tommy Taylor, Brian McClare, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Andy Cole, Sandy Turnbull, Joe Cassidy, Bruno Fernandes, George Ball, Brian Robson, Lou Macari. So I don't know, you make of that what you will, but he's listed as a legend by the club itself. So there you have it. There you have it. Yeah, I'm getting off now. Career speaks for itself in Manchester United legend Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire. One FA Cup, one. Oh, listen, I don't know, man. Sometimes I guess, listen, it depends how you define it. Like I said, like do you define it based off of the trophies, or do you define it based off of the impact that the player has had for the club during the period of time that the player has come into? I think it's a personal thing. I think some people will define it solely based off of, you know, How many league titles can you bring us? How many Champions Leagues have you done? Some people will maybe combine both. Some people will just be like, well, no, it's just about, the talent they had and what they bring to the squad and what they did their time in terms of like on the pitch. Scoring, getting assists, and it is what it is. So, but listen, yeah, it is too late, and I'm getting off. We won't be live tomorrow, okay? But we will be live, after the match on Sunday, okay? I might be a little bit late. Like 15, 20 minutes after the match, because I think I'm gonna go watch the match at my father's house. So he doesn't live too far, but just for me to get in the car, drive over here, finish up the thumbnail, and go live. It'll probably take like 20 minutes. So yeah. I mean the it'll be up, but when the match ends and you guys are patiently waiting in the lobby for me to start, just know, like 15, 20 minutes, like it will start. It's going to start a little bit late, okay? From whatever the time says, it's going to start a little bit late, but it will start. So, everybody have a good night, though. Thank you for all the likes. We got 20 likes, man. So shout out to you guys. Good Friday night show. Very excellent, very interactive. I enjoyed the discussion very thoroughly. Top fans of today. We'll do top 3. Natasha, number 1 spot today. Natasha, congratulations. This is from YouTube. This is not me ranking it. I don't know. We lost number 2 somehow. I don't know why, but number 2 is not there. So I'll just go to the next step up. Grace is number 2. And Slice of Sib, number 3. So shout out to you guys. If Lyle's still watching, shout out to Lyle for the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. And yeah, just everybody have a good Friday night or Saturday morning, whatever it is. Everybody stay safe, be good, and we'll see each other after the derby. And hopefully, we're here celebrating together. 3 points. We'd like a clean sheet as well. W over the Scousers, and we'll be on it. So hopefully we'll be celebrating together. So everybody, good night. Glazes out, says Axe. Yep, Glazes out. And I was second. You were second. I can't see it though. Now it changed again. You might be first. I don't know. Yeah, I can't see your name, bro. It doesn't show it. Well, if Axe was first, then alright. Then Axe was first. Bro, it's not because of the admin. Alright. I'm getting out of here, alright? I'll see you later. Be good. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. We'll see each other Sunday.